Hello, hello. Good evening. How are you doing tonight? Oh, there it is. Thank you, thank you. Yes. Yes, here you go. Here you go. I made it an extra redeem. I hope you like it. Here's the extra redeem for the cursed Nyannery business going on at once. Yes, I remember just before. Fun fact, actually, I originally wanted to start stream today a little more early, you know, so we would have more time to get through the game, and also me talking and being like, hi, this is the only time we're seeing each other this week, and everything, but I mistimed when the scheduled tweet would send, and I kept sitting here like, hey, why isn't it out yet? And then I looked at it and I saw that I accidentally scheduled it for Monday. So definitely not when I had wanted to stream, right? So here we are, normal start time. Oh my god. Thank you for the pat. Normal start time and everything. But yeah, this is the only time we're gonna be seeing each other this week. I'm so sorry. I am currently being extremely nervous and anxious about, oh no, I still need to pack actually. You know, I'll be going on a little trip, and like I have to take the train tomorrow, and I still haven't completely finished packing. I'm like, I will probably forget something. I just know it. But yeah, we see how that goes. For now, we're gonna try and see where this goes. Problem being, I think this was our last save. Just don't forget the train. I will not forget the train. Thank you for the hydrate time. I will not forget the train. Listen, I only stop being anxious as soon as I'm like in that train. Until then, I'll just be sitting here like, oh god, what if I forgot something? I just can't help it. That's a mood, isn't it? Anyway, we stopped last time here. This is... My god, what did we do? We found Hyesung being dead. Like dead for real, and they were like, oh yeah, well, either you get him out of there if you think it's not safe, or whatever, because of the rescue team. Oh right, plug hole is like, okay, you need to make the others understand how they just hacked, well, they didn't directly hack Hyesung's phone or watch or whatever, but they accessed his storage, like his online storage. That's how they got the picture. There's not actually another person in here with us, which makes it a little thinking about it though, if there's not another person in here with us that we haven't seen yet, that means one of these people killed him. It has to be. I mean, that's kind of the only logical conclusion we can get here, right? Anyway, what we're gonna do is we're gonna use a phone because we want to collect phone calls. And we're gonna call Juyeon because she's first on the list anyway.
どうですか?
喋った見てたの T よしえだけど予告だったのか適当に言ったことが的中したのか
いい加減なこと言ったのが当たったら自分でも驚くと思うけど
Imagine you're like some kind of You're just a troll online, and then the person you've been memeing about, or how you were like, oh, I'm gonna kill him, I'm gonna pretend I'm there, and then they actually end up being dead, like,
そんな素振りは見せないわね。
書き込みだけじゃわからないですよね。
Hey, it works just fine. Nice. I'm happy.
そうね。画面の裏で何をしているかはわからないもの。
一体何者なんでしょうね。
みんな気になってるわ。きっと。
I honestly don't remember who that person is. Alright, thank you. No good news either way. Someone got killed. That's true. That's true. Someone definitely got killed. That's the problem, isn't it? Okay, let's see. What do we have here? If you can disclose the time the photo was taken, we can know it's true. If you can do so, then this is a bot post. The half the stage must be fallen down, so it's nearly impossible to kill someone, take a picture in such a small space if they are not a ninja. Cut the crap and just show the photo info. The Sungyun is spreading false information, everyone. Please report at the side of it. We need a greater number of reports to attract response. Process delayed. Some Fader users reported the Sungyun account to Fader support, but so far nothing has happened. Aha! You think fake Twitter cares for reports? Haha! Real Twitter doesn't even care for reports of accounts. Thank you for the show here, Reedy. It's faster if you directly request a suspension of the account to fade the admin. Don't expect Beaster staff to do anything, just report it now. This was the post that is... Information of the camera model was blurred. Exactly, okay. The building was almost collapsed at 11 and GPS points to the venue. Unbelievable. It's possible to modify the photo's metadata. We saw this. Thank you for the reporting. We couldn't confirm that there are the survivors. Is it a ghost? Black hole suddenly shut up. Ran away after seeing the evidence. Beastos keeps ignoring us. Let's show a Power of Unity official account, entertainment account, a judge. Oh, one of the judges has an account as well. This will continue to expand. Please share this post. Honestly, you know, whenever I see this kind of stuff, I do not want to be the social media manager of any of these pages. I do not. They're so annoying. Can't understand what they're doing in this mess. Murder threat to Beastars contestants. A mysterious person has proclaimed that he or she killed just Tuesday. Killed one of the contestants buried under the fallen building. The article is written by copying and pasting several faded posts. What a terrible reporter. Beastars judge is trending on web polls. Even Alice closed her account. Who? Alice? Who's Alice? I used the bait mention to identify his IP. Means someone Africa. Something smells of fish. Something smells of fish? That's a little literal, don't you think? Some Fader users checked the Sungyun's IP. It turned out to be a foreign IP. I mean, that makes sense. If you try to be a troll on that kind of level, you definitely try to be behind several other IPs, no? It's not an amateur thing to hide IP address to spread such rumors. They're not done with Hyusun yet. They make you with sushi. It's not done by individuals. There must be a group behind it. What Sungyun has said so far is true. If it's really there, it must be one of the staff. Chances are one of the judges got pissed off by Doyon and so is revealing all his secrets. What? Why is Jungle Penguin... why do they keep singling me out? Pluckle went silent suddenly. He grouped my ass just because he knew how to use a VPN. Are you a highly skilled troll? There's no use trying to find me. Where am I? Stage, staff lounge, staff corridor, restroom. Look carefully. Oh, that's interesting that they list all of the places we can literally go to, though. That's our own bot post. It's true, that's why it is called staff corridor, but how does Sungyun know that? There was a staff lounge and a corridor at the back of it, but they started to pile stuff there due to lack of storage capacity, so it turned into staff-only space. Getting more interesting. I can see many squad cars and the police are controlling access to the exit inside, and heavy equipment is digging up debris. It seems impossible to get inside. Stop sharing our bullshit. Is it fun in a situation where someone could die? Thank you. It's so obvious that a Sungyun is lying. If a Sungyun is really inside the fallen building, they should be arrested after being rescued. Do you still believe what they say? If what the Sungyun said should be true, it must be one of the survivors. One staff member failed to escape, right? Uh-oh. Do you think they're gonna start dogpiling on Sale again? Who is Sungyun? They really presented the evidence. Let's take an opinion poll on the timeline. Share this post if you want Doyon to be executed. What the fuck? Soon after he received a scholarship, he took time off from school. No one knew he was from a rich family. Oh, it's an old photo of Gyug. I like him with glasses. Looks nice. Alumni testimony. Gyug's university friend testified that Gyug took years off from school soon after receiving a scholarship. He said he knew nothing about Gyug's family matters. When I first saw him on visas, I thought he was just someone with the same name. Our group chat room nearly exploded with too many messages. Should have gotten his autograph when I had the chance. Gyug didn't show any signs of a rich family's child. He must have received a scholarship out of necessity. As soon as I saw Ina, I thought she quite resembled one of my high school friends. I'm wondering what she's doing these days. There are no reasons for me to slander Ina. Is it wrong to say she resembles one of my friends? Are you a crazy fan of her or what? It's ridiculous. Oh yeah, you shouldn't... If you post stuff like this online, it's like, oh, they look similar to someone I know or I knew. Like, people will come at you for whatever reason and be really rude about it. Like, even if it was the same person, it's just like, okay, so we knew each other when we were younger? What's the problem? The vibe is different, but the face and voice cannot be confused. Look at this album photo. Doesn't she look like my friend? You can easily answer my question if you have any eyes to see. Oh yeah, I can. I mean, yeah, but if it's not her, maybe don't post someone's yearbook photo online for the whole world to see. Like, excuse me. Someone posted her yearbook on Fader claiming that Ina resembled one of her high school friends. Their style was different, but the faces and voices were very similar. Also, you cannot claim that the voices are similar with a yearbook photo. That doesn't work. The one troll has brought all attention seekers into the timeline. Are you sure your friend looks like Ina? Really? Whose funeral was it? What? What is it about This really is just Twitter. There's just so many things going on at this all at the same time. You will lose any and all semblance of like being able to follow along because it does make sense. There's so many topics. Alright, let's see. Password.
確かに
The password police was unbelievably loose. How many people might know the password? I can't even count. Jing was good at handling electronic devices. She strongly opposed the password policy when it was delivered. I kept telling them there would be a security issue. I mean, yeah, there is. But I never thought the cloud would be so vulnerable.
そうね
I had no idea because Hyesung's watch was the only one with the service. Jung mumbled something while looking at the watch.
あるかもしれ
I
ない
kept
と
telling
思っ
them we should all be given a different password. The staff was a bit lazy in that matter. If only they reset our watches that we had returned. Jungle Penguin like he knows doing personally based on how they keep singing him out. I think, yeah, I have a feeling that Jungle Penguin is also another one of the like band members. But I don't know who. The only one that we know by name is Woo-suk. But yeah, they really hate him. They were too complacent in their work. If retrieving the watches was so important, they could have factory reset it later. They could, right? I'm surprised to hear you saying the word factory reset. I thought you were digital illiterate. I mean, analog.
もしかして
You just spoke your mind.
違うわ
Now, listen, I wanted to talk about something else. The watches were given during the first round of the finals. All the contestants at that time also learned about the password policy and accounts. Doran got Jurgen's point. Ah,
そうなんですか
the top 10, they all know. I'm not sure if they were aware of other contestants'
間
accounts.
違いないわ
But one thing is for sure, that top 10 clearly knew about the password policy. But 10 people isn't a very small pool of suspects. I mean, it does give... No, it's not yet small, sure, but we can work with that. We can probably single that person out with a few more tips. Sponsored smartwatches were given to the top 10 finalists. Each watch has an individual account and a common password. Really Sully wants him dead, but probably isn't personally trying to kill him.
りょうくん
I wonder if he like actually wants him dead though. Like, it's one thing for people to go like, oh, I wish this guy was dead, but if they actually turn up like dead for real, like, does your hatred run that deep? With her hand on the side of her head, Ju-young asked Do-young.
ここに来るとき何位を目指してたの？
First place?
そこまで
Hi, Twin! Good
考えた
evening!
ことないです。生放送まで行けるとは思いませんでしたし。
しかも一人で上がってきた。
それは本当に想像もしなかったです。レイナさんは何位が目標だったんです？
当然優勝よ。練習生の時から
I mean, that makes
目
sense.
標は高く持っていたの。
Why would you bother participating in something if it's not to get first place?
どうやってできるんですか？そんなこと。
できると思うところより一段階上を目
It'd
標
be
にする。
interesting if this was all a conspiracy by the old band members. Oh god. Not gonna lie, I don't think they're that coordinated. Like, they fell apart this easily. I don't think they could get together for this. You can think of many reasons to compete without aiming for first place. I see.
一歩ずつ上がっていくこ
If
とを
I do something, I go all the
最優先にする。
way. I don't know.
一歩ずつ。
Like, it's all or nothing.
ビラブドの時はスローガンもあったのよ。
Oh. June felt silent and stared at Doyen for a moment. Oh, yay, more
一
art.
つ上がっていけば夢は叶うって。
June mumbled to herself.
チームで同じ目標に向かってたんですね。
夢を叶えることを一番にしていたわ。
No, I get it. They're not necessarily first place goals.
それは今も同じ。
Are you all doing? I'm good. I hope you're good as well.
でもね、やり直そうとしたけど、ここも
That's a
受け
net
入れ
gain.
てはくれなかった。方法はここ。オーディションしかなかったの。
怖くなかったんですか？もう一度人の前に立つのは。
心が折れそうになったわ。またあの時のように叩かれたら。
I mean, you survived once. You could probably do it again.
同じような状況にあったこともありましたよね。
June slowly raised her head.
変わってたのよ。私が
Yeah, don't get run over by any cars, you hear?
あの時よりもっと丈夫になっていたの。時に倒れても諦めない気持ちが叩かれていくうちにだんだんと明確な形になったというか。
形って槍ですか？
Isn't that a little
それとも
literal once again?
面白い質問するわね。
June took a step back, running her hand through her hair.
だってだったわ。
Oh,
こ
like
こ
a
が
shield.
崩れるまでは
崩れた今は
見逃しちゃいけなかったことを振り返るようになったの。だからなのか少しずつ槍の形になった感じなの。
Achieving a dream was always a top priority. Hiding and having difficulties didn't change anything. She was determined. Oh. June was determined to return to the industry. Breaking through all the criticism and blame, she challenged herself via the audition and proved herself. Nice. I'm very proud of her. Okay, what about this one?
だけど
Maybe they didn't know because they had no interest.
やっぱり
Nobody knows about other people's family matters unless they were told. Anyway, many of the posts are written just for the heck of it. Yeah, who would want to miss a chance to throw a comment at a time like this? You sound experienced. I thought you didn't know much about Fader. I'm learning my life lessons from this accident. Well, I guess it's not just about Fader. June dangled her arms from her waist.
確かに
Okay. Gyuk is keeping quiet about it, so we shouldn't say anything more about it. Let's just focus on what we were trying to figure out for now. You know about Esungyang? Yeah, sure. I'm gonna collect every single good point I can, though. It's rather common. hiding your IP to avoid detection. For example, you can use a VPN to disguise your IP as if it's from a foreign country. Which, thank you for the explanation. It's like, oh, even if you've never heard of that before, here's an explanation. That's nice. Which means they had it all planned out. Right, and there's another thing. Jung stopped for a minute and stared at Do-yeon. What can we learn from the fact that they disguised their IP? Must be a habitual offender. This person is experienced in this. Yeah. They're probably experienced, huh? This was not their first time. They experienced and know how to hide.
So,
I agree. They created an anonymous account and hid their IP before appearing. I don't think this was the Sungin's first time. This one knows what they are doing. There are lots of trolls, but only a few would go through the trouble of obscuring their IP. They set up the whole thing using their past knowledge and experience. I don't think they came in as prepared. They have been acting quite impulsively, but never forgot to hide their tail. For Sungin, this wasn't the first time, I'm sure of it. As Sungin used a VPN to mask their IP, tech-savvy users commonly use this kind of tactic to prevent IP tracking. I mean, yeah, they listen, if they find who this guy is, I don't know what it is called, but they could definitely get him for, you know, like, it's worse than just wishing death on someone. They were repeatedly like, oh, I will kill you. You're going to die at this point in time, blah blah blah, like, that has to count as some kind of offense. I was excited when I first received the watch. You like these kinds of electronic devices. I also happened to read a news article that said the watch was still in development. But they restricted many functions, so it wasn't easy to fully utilize it. If they had lifted the restrictions, we would have been able to use them better. This one is much better than the first one they distributed during the first round of the finals. That watch was OMG. What? It was OMG? Aw, that one sucked. We were only allowed to wear them on the show. They said they would tweak our watches, but now we know it was all about restricting some functions. Not sure why they gave it to us in the first round. Give it to me after it's all set up. Honestly, though. If they were going to take it back, why did they give it to us in the first round? I think the deal was that we start wearing them at the start of the finals. Maybe they regretted giving it to us. Fortunately, they let us use it personally during the second round. The top 7 left of the 3 got eliminated from the first round. Which means the 3 only got to wear them and turn them in soon after. Jung tapped the watch with her fingernail. I didn't know I'd be relying on the watch like this. Regardless of its quality, it's the only thing that connects us with the outside world. That's true. And it doesn't work very well most of the time, sadly. The top 7 received the smartwatches as they made it into the finals and were allowed to use them personally since the second stage of the finals. Relevant information, such as password policy, was delivered around this time. Wait, so it has to be someone who at least went on to top 7. Not even just top 10, but top 7. That's already probably going to decrease the amount of people it could be, no? Alright, what do you have? Password. They knew the account and password. Do you think they're one of the production staff? Eh? Are you talking about Beastar staff? We received smartwatches after making it to the finals. The password policy remained the same ever since. It was determined by the sponsor and passed on to us by Beastars. We had to use the pre-configured account and password. Kyuk stroked his chin with his long fingers. If they're a staff member, they should know about this. But do you think it's fair to doubt the staff? We're just trying to narrow down the pool of suspects for now. Well, okay, if it's going to help us. I'll tell you again if I think of something else. We'll get a clearer picture as we narrow down the suspect pool. I am not managing to get down as much as I usually try when I do his voice. After advancing to the finals, the contestants received these smartwatches of which accounts and password had already been set up. Some of the visa staff must know about the watches, accounts, and password. Okay, that's true. So we have like 7 people that managed to go to the finals, like including the 4 we have here right now. 5? The 5 we have here right now? And also literally any number of staff, quite possibly. All right.
T 教えが言ってた奨学金の話。
Yes.
ケイスケさん、それをずっと考えてたんですか？
You groaned. That bodes well. Oh, there was a brief silence.
父、鈴木一樹先生はいつも自立しろと。
Suzuki Itsuki Sensei. Huh, okay, that's the Japanese name they gave him.
自分が一人で全てを成し遂げたように、そうするべきだと。それ
Okay.
は言葉だけじゃなかった。自分に必要なお金は自分で稼がないといけなかったからな。
Oh.
はあ？学費や食費とかも。
You put on a sad smile.
自分で手に入れたものはどこまでも自分のものだと思う人だからな。
Well, that sounds like a horrible
家
father.
族も決して例外ではなかった。何をしてでも稼ぐ必要があった。
Wow.
10代までは何とかやってこれた。大学に入学した頃から無理だった。一度に複数のバイトを掛け持ちしたと思う。学費も枯渇してろくに集中もできなかったよ。
Man.
体壊して大変な目にあってからようやく助けを求める気になった。
Cost of 50 parallel.
コンサート
Welcome
が終わった
back.
夜だった。機嫌が良さそうだったからしばらくは他の話を交わしてた。タイミングを見計らうのも大変だったよ。ほとんど会話したことなんてなかったから。
Mm-hmm.
思い切って金の話を切り出した。
Okay.
先生はなんて言ったんです？
You slowly... What? You slowly open her mouth? Okay. I guess Gyug uses he and she pronouns. Good for her.
がっかりしたって。
As long as outside the house, it should be fine.
僕が何を望んでいようと僕を助ける気は全くないと。
Man, you put a child into the world and you don't give them money. I mean, yeah. All the more power to you. I was just surprised.
部屋を出ていくこと以外。それほどだったなんて。恥ずかしくて悔しかった。できるはずじゃないですか。
No, but someone else's.
そう言ってすがりついたらさらに軽蔑されそう。
Listen, Gyug, your dad just sucks.
親戚や他の家族は
You don't deserve a child if you put it out in the world and then have it fend for itself.
父も僕も
Like, I'm sorry.
家族じゃ
It's one thing to be like, hey, I can, I don't know, give you unlimited amounts of money for dumb shit. But it's another thing for your child to be like, hi, I am literally dying, overworking myself. I'm just trying to go to school, and you be like, hehe, fuck you.
その時はそれ以上バイトを増やせる状態でも
Anyway, slow clap for Buried Stars for yet another game that has a horrible fucking dad. We love horrible dads in video games.
で奨学金
Works for animals? Ah, yes, of course.
やけになって退学してやるつもりで学校に行ったらその時教授がいろいろ配慮してくれたんだ。家のことは知らなかったんだ。そのことはベリスタで初めて明らかになった話だから知らなかったから助けてくれたんだ。受け取れなかった人はさすがに混乱しただろうな。 非難されるとしても
No, I mean, but the rest of your family wouldn't help you either. It's not. I don't see why he's getting blamed for it. Like, oh, you come from a rich family. Yeah, but the rich family doesn't want anything to do with me and they don't actually give me money. Oh, how dare you receive a scholarship for poor people? Huh? Huh? You bit his lip hard.
僕の考えが甘かった。自分のことだけ考えていたよ。
Yeah, that's usually who you think about.
ちっぽけな考えで迷惑をかけてしまった。あの人も結局そうだったのかって。
Your father can go fuck himself.
自分の足で立てない半人前なのかと。ここでも結局は親にすがって楽しようとしているんじゃないかって。
圭介さん、大丈夫ですか？
With his head half raised, Duke put on a faint smile.
大丈夫。なんかすっきりしたよ。
Did you finally talk to someone about it?
もっと早く
Aw.
話せたらよかったのに。
Scholarship! The professor granted Gyuk the scholarship to help him recover from his financial problem. Gyuk didn't know about it, but it was still illegal. Wait, why? Why was it illegal? He struggled through life after his father abandoned them. He had to fend for himself while growing up. Wow! I guess Gyuk uses all kinds of pronouns. He, she, them. Props to you. What about this one?
一体
Yeah, he probably didn't meet them. They're sharing and delivering all kinds of stories and rumors as if they are excited. It's because they're getting fervent feedback for what they post regardless of its truth.
やっぱり
Did you not mention any at one point how you admire people who just use any? I do! I do! I think people are very strong for just using any and all kinds of pronouns. It's like, I don't give a fuck. Actually, do not use any kinds of pronouns for me. Do not refer to me. It's gotten worse ever since Asungin talked about the past. Gyuk looked at Ina while nodding. He couldn't see her face because she was facing the opposite direction.
ひょっとして
You want to know what I think? Whether they look similar or have the same name, it doesn't really matter.
違うはずだ。
If Ina says no, then it's no. Even if she was lying, she must have her own reasons.
結局
What's important is how we see ourselves.
そう
Yeah, that just sounds like you. Ina's avoiding an answer. That is another way of dealing with the situation. We could do the same, you know? For what? What?
奨学金のことで湿っぽくなってしまったよな。
No.
すまない。こんな複雑
No, 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 listen. I want all of the information I can get.
いいんだよ圭介さん、そんなこと言わなくて。
Tell me more. The more you talk, the less I have to speak. Haha.
喋ったであんなに騒ぐようなことじゃないんだけどな。
Doyan paused.
それにしてもお母さんは苦労してる時何も言ってくれなかったんですか？
The mom is dead. Gyu raised his head after a brief silence. Or she was ignored because she was some kind of mistress or something.
僕も母も同じ立場だったんだ。
Oh.
ただ先生の影に隠れて
Of course. Of course. Of course. What a horrible dad.
隠れたって。
先生の意向に隠れていた人たち、光のそばにある影のような。自由も経済的権利もなかったんだ。共に苦労を耐え抜くしかなかった。
The flip side. Gyuk's father, Byung-hee, was a very selfish person, getting nearly no attention from his father. Gyuk and his mother had to live in poverty.
そんなの虐待じゃないか。
So, Gyuk stared at Doyon for a moment, or somewhere beyond Doyon.
同じ状況だから、お互いに支え合って生きていれば、ひょっとすると母は 先生が振り向いてくれると望んでいたかもしれないけど、病気もしてたし、
Oh.
より寂しくて辛かったと思う。
病気って
The music, the background music really reminds me of another background music that plays in Planet.
1型糖尿病だったんだ。
Oh!
一生インスリン注
Type
射
1.
して生きていた。
Those are expensive. His mother lived a sad life after being abandoned by her husband, and his son was all she had to live for. He had to prepare insulin injections for her ever since he was a student. Kyu paused for a moment.
僕を妊娠したせいで悪化して合併症まで発症してしまった。亡くなった時、俺はかなり
Oh, she is dead.
酔っていたよ。
I was joking. Kyu looked disturbed.
先生はようやく僕に振り向いてくれそうになったが、もう手遅れなのに。
距離を感じるしかないはずだ。
Hmm.
謎だらけの鈴木樹にこんな一面があるとは全く思わなかったよ。
金だよ。それがあればどんな話もなかったことにできる。またどんな噂も真実のように作ることができる。もう随分昔のことだ。みんな死んだし、僕はただの七光に過ぎない。
何と言えばいいのか。
辛かった記憶も今となっては思い出だ。
Interesting to me that we get most of his backstory pretty late into the game, I would say. After his mother's death, Gi-hook went through hard times. Only then did Byung-hee Lee begin to take care of Gi-hook, but it was already too late. His mother's death was a tremendous shock. He had tough times for a while. Only then Byung-hee admitted Gi-hook as his son. It's like, I mean, they can't just give us everyone's backstories immediately. That would be horrible writing. But still, like, we got a bunch of info out of Ju-young already. Out of Hee-sung as well. And I mean, Hee-sung is dead now, but we still know nothing about Ina, but that's because she doesn't say anything at all. I can understand why he doesn't know that. You took time off from school because of your family accident, but how?
それが
You heard them. There was literally no interaction between us. Duke faintly smiled at Doyen, who was tilting his head.
よ。
You must have had many friends.
違う。
No, but why?
それは
School friends, alumni, and... Wait, is it alumni? Probably. Alumni? My acquaintances, I never talked about my family to them. I never initiated talking to them, rather I always kept my distance from them. You'll have a whole different perspective when you know my reason. Duke lowered his head as if feeling embarrassed. Is it because of the family culture?
そうだったな。
You know my father's family? They're ashamed of both me and my father. I guess he didn't like his family either since he never took me there.
これなら
As if they were strangers.
そうだ。
None of our relatives even came to his funeral. Alumni. Alumni? Alumni? That sounds stupid. Seriously, that's unbelievable. Now I'm getting criticized again because I've joined B-Stars and people started to find out about my family background. Judging someone's class when forming a relationship, I understand that. What? That's what you wrote! You can't go new, please. That's what you wrote. You provided them nothing for the judgment of you then. Sad, huh? I was basically isolating myself from people by building a wall around me. A wall! His father, who had severed relationships with his relatives, couldn't visit them. His funeral was not open to the public. Few relatives attended. Oh, you've come to the wrong place for mercy. Well, that could be a virtue of artists. During continued while pulling at his own earlobe.
俺は
I wasn't all that sociable either. I learned from B-Stars that you frequently moved.
そうだったな。
My dad, he was always on a business trip, taking care of all the dirty, dangerous, and demanding tasks. And I had to bounce around my relatives' houses.
ひょっとして
Were your relatives nice to you?
それは
Of course, but I didn't feel comfortable. After creating the band in high school, I rarely went home. I know it sounds corny, but I was feeling lonely. Let's just say you were a solitary person.
分かった
Yeah, that. But the thoughts and emotions from that moment, I think they helped me write songs.
え
A ni or an a sound. It's an a sound. That the lum is not pronounced like in luminous, but alumni. And you know what? Why even make it this hard?
Alumni.
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 Okay. I'll just not say it ever again. Fuck this. See, I'm pretty good at comforting others. Okay, let's say you are. Alumni. Alumni. Maybe it was a bit off point. While his father was working abroad, he had to stay at several relatives' houses. He had spent most of his time playing in the band since high school. He has been inspired to write songs about his feelings of loneliness during those times. I'm not saying the word has worked out for me so far. See, it's all possible. Don't know how to say something? Just don't say it. Easy. Anyway, the things people love about you right now,
そうだろ
maybe they were created during the time of your isolation.
分かった
I know what you mean. Thank you. I'm okay now. Are you?
それならば
If we take into account those eliminated from the top 10,
そうだった
most of them were in bad terms with Hyeseong. One person had the most trouble with Hyeseong. Duke hesitated, pondering on what to say. It was Hyoju. Oh, she and Hyeseong hated each other. As Sungyeon also mentioned Hyeju in a post. Is it reasonable? You hope they both survive and become best friends?
でも
Fuck around and find out, I would say. Still, could she really be a Sungyeon? It's not like she can come back to the show by doing that.
そうだ
As you said, we shouldn't jump to conclusions yet. She was in bad terms with Hyeseong and she had a watch. That is the only thing that bothers us.
あのさ
Hyeju was eliminated in the first round of the finals, right?
あ
Yes, and the result was mainly driven by Hyeseong's fans. Oh, so that's the one that dated at some point? Probably. Gyugan crossed his arms while nodding. We think of it as a possibility for now. Okay. Of the top 10 contestants who received watches, Hyeseong was most at odds with Hyoju Seo. She was eliminated during the first stage of the finals, as Sungyeon had mentioned her name too. Nah, that's too easy. You look cute.
だとすると
To Hyeseong and you in particular, if that's the case, one thing does come to mind, although it might not be true. Okay, tell me.
大丈
Hurry up and tell me. The stalker. They were also harsh on Hyeseong and you. Oh, wait. I mean, we know who your stalker is. That's not good. Ina continued while fiddling with her ears.
それは
Everyone knew that I was in bad terms with
夫そう
Hyeseong.
だった
Even Beastars openly showed it. They wrote comments about how they want to kill
俺
him.
は
Well, why me?
あれ
What do you mean, why? Because Beastars wanted it to seem as if there was romantic chemistry between us. That was so absurd, felt the power of it. Oh, between you... I was like, what? You and Hyeseong hate each other. Why would they portray love? Oh, between Inha and Doyoon. That was so absurd.
そうだった
The editing team hacked at the scenes that didn't even mean anything.
当然でしょ
The editing experts are capable of creating issues out of nothing. Ina continued while shaking her head. My question is the stalker related to me?
まさか
If that's the case,
違う
isn't it just the stalker's unrequited love? That's true, but I keep what you've said in mind. Right, we should go into details now. Alright. Ina's stalker showed anger towards Doyun for often appearing with Inha, and he was extremely hostile towards Hyesung, who was known to be at odds with Inha. Well, I mean, we know who your stalker is. We as the player, so... I heard something in the past. I asked some of the old staff members about stalker issues to see if anything similar had happened in previous seasons.
多分
I guess there were.
そうだよ
Bingo! They had a stalker in every season. One of them even showed up at a closed set filming. No metagaming. We know nothing. Ina continued while holding onto her shoulders. He even came to the filming location for an audition mission. Wow, that's fucked up. Was the production schedule leaked? How is that possible?
でしょ
Exactly. The stalkers gathered whatever information they can get their hands on. Believe it or not, he even showed up at the contestants' private dinner. He was finally arrested there.
それなら
He was arrested. Did it end there? Ina raised her face and she looked bitter.
違うよ
They just let him go with a warning. The whole ordeal kind of petered out after the contestant was eliminated from the audition. That is fucked up. You finally catch a stalker and you let them go? That's scary. Anyhow, stalkers are not stupid at gathering information. Stalkers collect personal information randomly. In past B-Star seasons, stalkers had followed contestants and obtained their private schedules. Man. Okay, what about the photo? Is it you?
りょうちゃん
Did you see it too? Yes. It somehow found its way to me. That worked pretty nicely. What do you think? The name and vibe, it's different from yours.
違う
Well, okay, it's over then?
そうだろ
I guess it is, right?
待って
Are you questioning me?
Eh?
Is that what it sounds like? They say they keep questioning each other. Ina dropped her eyes for a moment. The past of my school alumni, and and another photo. Ina raised her head after a brief moment.
それは
Think whatever you want. You want me to judge?
そうね
I just don't want to say anything. Hello, good evening, Ichi. Why are you doing the fingers? Why are you doing the fingers, Ichi? Why? Someone claimed that one of her... is much like Ina in terms of name and appearance. She neither agreed or disagreed.
それなら
I'll stop then.
あれ
Pulling back now after all those questions. You don't like people digging up dirt behind your back. I wasn't curious but worried about you.
もういい
It's none of your business. Worry about me when everything's revealed later. What? When what is what? When what is revealed? What are you... What? Ho ho. The scritch behind the ears. Yeah, scritches. University friend, huh? I struggled with the university entrance exam when it was too late, then I gave up. You grew up on a great father and went to a good university.
違う
Happy life, isn't it? No! It's not my place to tell about his sad backstory, but his father is a fucking asshole, so no. We had a good life in the war we wanted, right? No need to envy anyone.
要するに
We lived good lives doing what we wanted.
そうなの
Well, good job trying to conform me.
俺は
I devoted my whole life to the band when I was in high school. I didn't even think much about going to university.
そうね
We were both in the same shoes. I have no regrets because I was happy. Definitely. I'm still jealous though. If it's about the campus life, you should ask Yug about it. I'm not an expert on that matter. I mean, okay. Whatever. The fuck? What about this one?
いや
For an IP, trying to play smart. Africa? Seriously far. Sungin is clearly afraid of something. If what they said was true, there's no reason for them to hide.
あ、そう。
Yes, they blabbered on while pretending to be Sungyeon. The photo was stolen from Hyesung. We'd be able to figure out their identity if we keep tracking. The two of them slowly nodded at each other. The two people here that know nothing about anything to do with like technological advancement of any kind. They can barely operate their fucking watches. They must pay for the mayhem they've created. We're almost there. Okay, what about this one?
あれ
So why wasn't it taken care of if reports had already been made? Reports.
やっぱり
We might have to wait a little longer. I can't wait to see them exposed. They should pay for the devilish mouth.
そうじゃないと
I
思う。
won't let them escape.
でも
Considering the way they've been blabbering on, I don't think they'll bow that fast. Yeah, we stay put until they get caught.
マジ。
Why do you think the law exists? It's for capturing a scumbag like them. Now we're talking about the law?
あ、そう。
Yes, the law. The one singular law that exists out there. The important thing is to punish them severely.
それとも
That's the only way to break the damn chain. She's a strong distaste for crime. She thinks that harsh punishments are needed to eradicate the vicious circle of crime. Hina, are you okay?
ね
What do you think? Are you okay with the current situation? I'm pissed off. Don't get agitated, that's what they want.
え、もういい。
I know. What's the point of getting angry here? You should also pray that the identity is revealed ASAP. Sure. A law to rule them all. One law to rule them all.
それは
We all received them during the finals. The watches,
そうだったけど
although it took some time to unlock useful
とにかく
functions. Didn't they retrieve them by saying how they needed to tweak them? That's why the watch was turned into a piece of crap after I got it back.
結局
There was nothing working except Feather. And you barely used Feather. I never had any passion for it.
そうだけど
I know it's valid. I just think it sounds funny. The law. I also saw clench one's teeth in a book I read yesterday. I was like, huh. Wow, how had I never seen that before? But, it's very typical of you. Anyhow, all contestants must know the password then. We've narrowed down the pool further, right?
そうだな
Who knows? What if the premise that the Sungin is one of the contestants is wrong? Right, we might end up going back to square one. Yeah, it could be any of the staff members.
だとしたら
Staff. I guess not all, but some of them could know about it. Wait, I think I'm getting somewhere here. Ina frowned and sunk her head. Then suddenly she raised her head. I almost forgot my password. She could forget. Wait, how do you forget a 5? Okay.
そうかも
We could forget the password, it could happen.
ちょっと
Hey, I'm talking about what happened in the past, not now.
Mm.
In the past, when? Shortly after I received my watch.
Sure.
Frankly, the password didn't concern me since it was given to us, right? Maybe because of that I had a hard time remembering
と
it.
にかく
So I was lost in thought with the watch on my wrist, but then a staff member came to me and told you the password?
ね
Don't you cut in, but yes.
もしかして
A faith account manager. Did the person look familiar?
え、違ったの
No, not at all. So get it now? Some staff members do know about the watch policy. It felt odd at the time, but it feels worse now. Oh, Ina said she had forgotten her password and had to ask the staff for it, so there's certainly people on the staff who would know about their account and password policy. Well, that is not helpful at all, because that just means there's a larger pool of people it could be. You can forget that 3-letter combination within minutes is not that hard. Okay, I'm sorry. What do you have to say?
それは
Grudge. Hisung had so many haters. Well deserved.
そうだな
But haters and people holding a grudge are not the same.
そう思います
Not so much these days. People are so impatient these days that they can do anything once they're pissed off. Cell spoke again after a brief pause.
でも
Speaking of haters, you were also gaining quite a fair share of haters recently. I know, come to think of it, Sungin specifically mentioned Hyesung and me. If you have haters, that just means you're famous. I mean, sure, yes, but
ちょっといいですか
in that sense, how about your band members? As a suspect, you mean? Doing held his breath for a second.
違う
No, Masquerade is very special to me. Oh, this is... This is one of my favorite pieces of artwork.
それは
I'm not talking about what you think. You never know what your other members think about you. The record deal had been cancelled as the team was breaking down from inside. Doon didn't want to spoil anything, but he had to oppose the deal. Because he wanted to keep everyone together and protect the band. He remembered the time they had spent together in the euphoric moments of the live
い
concerts.
わば
No matter what you think about them, they might think differently. That's true. When he said he wanted to protect the band, the members opposing his decision were just sneering at him. Just think it's so funny how it's always like, oh, his band members, and it like, to me, it sounds like there's so many people, like the members opposing him and the members on his side, and it's like, the band was like, what, 5 people? Like, I'm sorry, a drummer, someone on a keyboard, a singer, him on guitar, and probably someone who was on bass, so like 5 people. It's like, oh, the members opposing him, 2 people. The members on his side, 2 people. Thank you for the non-binary. 5 people strong. Yes, 5 people strong. Doyeon only tried to protect his band, but his decision created an even bigger conflict. The members who didn't side with Doyeon only snorted at his sincere explanation. Well, so hi, good evening. Doyeon shook his head. But I'm not Seungyeon's only target. Any of my band members as a suspect, that would be absurd.
わかりました
I was just suggesting not to leave out any possibility.
もしかして
What about the staff? As Seungyeon impersonated Seungyeon, anyone on your mind?
ってことは
Whoa, that really widens the suspect pool. I keep saying. It's likely that Hyesung earned the grudge of the staff from shows other than B-Stars as well. We might get lost if you consider all of them. Hyesung and Doyeon had many haters. Seungyeon may have deserved the grudges that some staff members in the audience held against her. Okay. Password. Do you know the password?
そうかも
They didn't manage passwords securely. They unilaterally... What? Unilaterally? Unilaterally? What? Set up all of our watches with the same password to make it easy to manage them.
でも
Unilaterally. Some kind of unified thing, right? Unilaterally. Unilaterally. Thank you. Thank you. But at least not every staff member knows the password, right?
そうですよ
Right, only the relevant staff knows about it, I guess. The staff are all too busy to mind others' businesses. So you can't really nail down the suspects among the staff. Seal scratched his lips with his finger.
仕方ないですね
We tend to answer not clearly in defense of ourselves. If anything bad happens, the staff are the first ones whom theater users will nag at.
そう
This game has some strange words. It does. Yes, I know that. It always has been like that. If you widen our perspective a bit more, hacking is another possible explanation. Our accounts have always been vulnerable to hacking due to the poor security level. Maybe our accounts are already hacked by someone out there. BSO's security policy was lax, with the same password being used for all the watches. Some are concerned that the watches could be hacked. I mean, sure, but if we go in that direction, it could be literally anyone in the whole wide world, and that does not help us to reduce the amount of people. If you limit the scope to people who hold personal information on contestants,
あのさ
that narrows down the scope, does it?
それが
I could be wrong, but then only Beasto staff should be considered, not even all of them.
そして
And there are agencies we outsource the background checks to. That's about it.
実は
No, there's another group that we shouldn't miss. Sale pointed his finger to absent-minded Doyon.
はい
The audition contestants. As the saying goes, the beacon does not shine on its own base. I've never heard that before in my life, but whatever you say, buddy. Those who could have had access to such information included the staff, background check agency, and the contestants. Okay, thank you. This one again?
やっとわかりま
I
したよ
guess Gyuk was a truly mysterious person to the core.
そうか
I can't believe I didn't know about the accident.
それは
Gyuk tends to draw the line, you know? Although we barely notice it because he's kind most of the time, I sense that he likes to keep distance from people in a very polite manner. Doyon continued while looking at the watch.
でも
I guess the post wasn't intended for criticizing him.
はい
Looks like he's made no enemies so far. That's not true. He has his fair share of enemies. Unlike Hyesung's friends who were all out to get him. I guess he's always in first place for good reason.
つまり
Everything just works out for him, be it career, money, or fame. Sel stopped mumbling and flinched after sensing Doyon's gaze.
そして
He's also lucky. I just envy his everything, talent, luck, family background. If only you knew. Thank you for the pat and the hybrid time. If only you knew. Oh, I'm so envious of a guy you know nothing about. Just usually more academic in usage. Yeah, just something you don't hear often in this kind of context, I guess. People don't get that far on luck alone. Although he's not just one of the survivors waiting for rescue. We don't like academic words here. You have to talk to me like I'm 5 years old. Assumption grudge. This one.
はい
Do you want to hear some more?
そうだった
We've been meeting Sungin as contestants. I wondered how the staff thought about her, and that's why I'm asking you. Sale changed his posture after a brief hesitation.
つまり
Oh, we are not verbose here. First of all, we're sharing a common opinion about our relationship with her. We all agree that we're at Sungyin's disposal. We call ourselves disposable tools because she uses us once and then throws us away.
そんな
I didn't know she was that bad. That's because she never treated you, her products for sale, in a bad manner.
認めます
Of course they are treated differently from us. Oh. How did you take it?
あの
How did you respond?
はい
Me? Yeah, if she treated you like that, I wonder what it would have been like.
仕方ないですね
Of course she treated me like that. I was angry, but I had to bear with her. It's true that I'm not a skilled veteran in this field. Sale shrugged his shoulders.
な俺
That's
は
what you think, but you did so many things throughout the show. You don't deserve to be treated like a tool. Wasn't he like her second hand, kind of? Not her second. Oh my god. She did have 2 hands already. Never. I mean, like her second in command or something.
相葉さん
Thank you for saying that. I would have felt much better at workplace if she had been just like you.
それは
I'd be thankful if that's how you feel. Her right hand man, kinda. I'm not too sure. They initially introduced him with what his actual job was, but it wasn't ever mentioned again. He's just been degraded to a staff member. Sale slowly nodded. Doyon could barely see his eyes behind his glasses. Some people think they're of a higher class. Told us to probably serve the contestants.
一体
Who would say such a thing? Hyesung, probably.
ユーマ
That's what Hyesung used to say. Doon didn't know what to say. The staff weren't happy with Hyesung either. He ignored and looked down on us as if he were better than us. Some staff held ill will towards Songyun, who they felt had a bad attitude and frequently used people. They also disliked Hyesung and his constant arrogance towards them. When everyone starts saying, I guess your position in a company doesn't matter anymore. That's true.
あれ
The agencies you outsourced the background checks to? Yeah.
それは
What were they like? I'm not sure how to answer that.
つまり
As far as I know, the work was divided among a number of
それ
subcontractors.
なら
So did you guys hire multiple subcontractors? Yes, because in the beginning there's so many contestants, although the numbers rapidly decrease over time. He still hesitated and lowered his head. But all the contracts have been terminated. All of them.
そうですよ
Right. Because we didn't pay them. Cyril glanced at Doyon to check his complexion. Anyway, I'm sure they could have easily leaked the information. I told you before there was an indemnity clause in a contract. Yeah, and you got... I'm sorry. There's an indemnity clause in a contract. Yeah, but you didn't even adhere to the contract and you didn't pay them. So why should they start to adhere to an indemnity clause if they didn't even get paid properly? I'm just saying. Background checking agencies can't disclose anything. They could be held responsible and have to compensate. Contract was broken, so it can't be upheld. Like, you have a lot of trust
違った
in someone. Like, sure, they could be sued for breaking a contract, but if the contract wasn't properly upheld, that could lead to a very long legal battle. It doesn't sound like something they would do. If they get caught, they won't be able to cope with the aftermath of compensation and stuff. I don't agree, but it's what I have to choose. Beastars collapsed, not the production company. Background checking is their job. If they get caught wreaking havoc at a time like this, they might have to face a lawsuit.
そうだ
For them to act out of spite, the stakes are too high. Sale spoke again after a brief pause. It's better to just keep one's mouth shut when the situation is very unstable. Even if a Sungian was involved, I'm sure they did it on a personal level. The agency will never come forward to admit it. Oh, so you mean it maybe it was just one person that is part of the agency? The broadcasting station outsourced the background checks to several agencies, but they won't retaliate like this even though the contract was arbitrarily terminated. Okay. And now we start from the beginning because we'll unlocked a few more thingies. There it is.
間違いないわ
Of course it is a crime to stalk someone. Time has passed, but these people never change.
もし
Were there many when you were in a group?
もちろんよ
It was bad. I saw some horrible cases. Speaking of which, something comes to mind. Okay, tell me. Is it relevant? Even if it is not relevant, just tell
そう
me.
ですか
What is it? I think it would be helpful to know. It might have something to do with this case.
私もよ
I agree with you. I'll just tell you how they tried to access the information. June began her story while staring at her feet.
よく聞いて
They intentionally approached a manager or agency staff, making an approach completely disguised as a coincidence. Some of them used the connections to dig up personal stories or find out about schedules,
それが
or they would even bribe agency staff. It is hard to say no once the relationship is established and money has exchanged hands. That's an awful lot of effort to stalk someone. Surprising, huh? This kind of thing actually happened a lot. According to Zhu Yong, aggressive stalkers often bribe people and use their connections to obtain personal info and schedules. Alright. Scratch, assumption, Gretch? Why would they associate Hyosung with you? Frankly, I believe it's the power of editing that did it. Hyuk averted his gaze and slurred the last words.
大丈夫
I'm alright. I'm trying to talk about something else. In your opinion, when did I suddenly start getting haters? Do you want me to tell you? No, I want you to keep looking at me and not saying a single word. That's why I'm asking you a question. What? I have some ideas, of course, but people around me might have different ideas. I know what you're trying to say, but... Just talk to me! Why are you feeling what? Sorry for... Why do I have to say I'm sorry for making you uncomfortable? I was asking you a question, bitch! I'm sorry, I shouldn't have asked. Of course it was about Masquerade. Oh, so you mean like it was obvious when I started getting haters? I see, okay. Please don't make me say that. You patted Doyon on his shoulder.
正直
If you go deeper, no one's free from haters.
俺は
As for me, the old fans had a change of heart when I made it to the finals. Doyon unknowingly bit his lip. The fans who were always there for them since the very beginning, they knew the journey and hardships the band had gone through. The criticism was especially painful. After the final started, many of his band's fans criticized him. Those who had welcomed him at first eventually joined the criticism. His former fans' criticism was like a dagger to his heart. There were new people. Half and half at the most now. Since the story started to spread, people have been criticizing me as well.
Yo.
I want you to look at the brighter side. I'm saying this now because of his Sungyun.
それならば
What about Hyesung?
やっぱり
I think it's about the scandal. Expectations were great and so was the anger from the betrayal. Yeah. What are you guys talking about? Are you winning now? Honestly, not sure. I'm not following the thread of conversation right now. I feel like they're talking like straight in two completely different directions. I think we should stop talking about this now. Okay. Doyon's betrayal of his own band before the finals and Hyesung's history of school violence significantly grew the pool of their haters. Asa, how you doing? Newest list of terms to use has expanded. That's a win. Yes. Amount of times I say significantly wrong the first time around has also expanded. Increased, whatever. From what I hear, there were also various rumors among the contestants. Is this Ace Attorney? No. This is you try to find maybe a murderer while you're getting buried alive. Kind of. And 2 people are already dead. I should think so, since different people were put in one place. Duke frowned as if he was trying to think of something. Most of them were grounded as rumors. Only a few of them sounded plausible. Nothing more than a rumor, no matter how likely it sounds. A rumor unless it confirmed to be fact. Nah. Listen, a rumor is a rumor.
そうだろう
No matter how plausible, it's still a rumor. After all, they're all rumors unless validated as facts, right?
だろ
I agree. We know more about that than anyone.
なそうだ
Contestants didn't know the details either. The 2 of them nodded at each other.
よ
I'm not trying to point out whether the rumor is substantial. That is, what Sungin said is identical to the rumor among the contestants. We should consider this too. Some of what Sungin said had seemed to be rumors shared by the Beastars contestants. Okay. We're almost there. Heck.
まったく
Someone might have hacked into it several times already. There was also a strange accident while using Fader.
え
A strange accident.
それは
For instance, I received a login failure message when I wasn't even using Fader. And I found new Fader friends whom I'd never added. Give me chills. Ew, oh. Did you ever tell anyone about that? Something's off for sure. But did you tell anyone? Something's clearly off. And amongst all things, how would you explain the login failure?
そうでしょ
Right? I thought I made a mistake at first. Thank God a fader can only be accessed from each watch.
とりあえず
I even asked the staff members to change the password for me, but they refused to by mentioning the policy.
じゃあこれは
If what you said is true, the stalker should be included in our suspect list. Pretty sure of it. If not, why would that happen to me? Uh-oh. Ina often received messages about failed login attempts and friends being added or removed. Had she been hacked, but she couldn't change her password. Uh-oh. Sale, it's looking pretty grim for you out there.
いや
Isn't that a lot? I guess not everyone was aware of the identical information. I think there must have been some kind of qualitative difference? I am fucking tired of this game. Ina grabbed Doyon's arm while continuing her remarks.
待ってよ
Hey, wait. I suddenly remembered what one of our scriptwriters told me before. She said they share our info when they're writing scripts for the edition. I heard she gave it to the writer, director, and video editors. That is a great many people. But would they have all of the information just to write a script? Last attempt was on point. Qualitative? With a short A. Qualitative. I wonder what kind of information she gave away. If it's something that a singer would mention, then it's a problem. Yo, okay. Right. I'm seeing stories that I haven't even mentioned. We're here to join the audition, not to sell our private information. Ina firmly closed her mouth and frowned. If they're going to pry into our private lives, they should at least handle that information carefully. Haha. We shouldn't be discussing this right now. Okay. Ina heard from the staff that some of the contestants' personal info was shared among the writers, directors, and editors in order to write better scripts. Okay. Let's go. Do 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 do. Haha, they're all unchanged. Wait, they're all unchanged, didn't I? At that moment, his watch flashed. One moment. It's been a while. Yeah, it seems I'm capped on the rapids. Cherry vanilla flavored water tastes like nasty cough syrup. No, I usually try to buy things if they sound tasty. And then I'm very sad when they're not. But I don't buy stuff if it already sounds nasty. No. I had a hard time resting with Seungyeon. Seungyeon missed the timing to back off as we had planned. Narrow down the candidates? I've determined 3 premises. This Seungyeon person must be someone who has a motive to make a scene, knows your background, and knows your password in order to download the photo from Hyesung's cloud server. Except for that Chupa Chup string. Hey, it wasn't that bad. I mean, sure, it takes it like you had literally like just taken whatever they like use and like just liquefied it. But the more I kept drinking it, the better it became. I won't buy it again though. Stockholm Syndrome, that's not a good drink. Hey, it was okay. My number one thing is just, it doesn't taste good. It doesn't taste good, but I already spent money on it, so I will eat it. Or drink it in that case. The conversation they just had made him feel dizzy. Doyen began to organize the issues one by one. Tells how it's bad and then talks now. It could have been better, but also you get used to the taste. Okay, which suspect pool satisfies all of these conditions? The motive to kill, information on contestants, and the password. The grudge? How the staff is sharing info with each other, and also the policy, how they're not changing any of these things. These 3 should be good. Thank you for the posture check and the higher time. Nice. That was good. Yeah, right. You finish bad things if you spend money on them. It's the same with games. Though I try to not do that anymore, but it's like if I already bought a game and it's literally so god fucking awful that I don't finish it. But I try to slog through because it's like I already spent money in it. Might as well see if it eventually gets better at some point. Spoiler, it most of the time doesn't.
プロデューサーにも動画扱いされてたから番組への不満も多かったはずだ。それが恨みになったのかもしれない。オーディションの出演者
I have not played Far Cry 6,
共有していた。
and I don't plan
情
on
報
it.
の量や共有した範囲はわからないけど T ヨシエの情報の出所はそこかもしれない。俺たちが使うアカウントやパスワードは番組側が設定してくれたものだ。
Yes.
関わりのあるスタッフならパスワードやアカウントポリシーを分かっているはずだ。
A 4-month slog. Oh god. Okay, I got it now.
T ヨシエの正体に関する番組と出演者たちに恨みを持っていたベリスタのスタッフ。
Okay, a staff member. That is a great many people. A possible suspect believed to be a Seungyeon. He has a grudge against Hyeseung and Seungyeon and knows sensitive information on the top 5. He can access the watch or password policy. You spent like $40 and it was gone. Yeah, I get that. I don't remember the game's name, but there was a game I had bought because it was a point and click and it had like a cyberpunk aesthetic. It looked cool, right? It looked really cool, and I had bought it some years ago, but when I actually got to playing it, it was so awful. And I say that as a fan of both the cyberpunk stuff and a fan of point and clicks. It was just not good. No, it wasn't Roblox. Yeah. You bought Roblox. I did not. I have never touched Roblox in my life, and I probably never will. There were still others who had the potential to be a Seungyeon.
もっと考えてみよ
Okay, who else? It could also have been someone who was a part of the top 10, right? Contestant Grudge.
う。ユーマに恨みを持っていそうな人物ならあかりさん予選中ずっと揉めて
Oh, Akari. Okay,
結
just
局
call
放
her
送1回目
Akari.
に
Okay.
脱落してしまった。 T ヨシエが投稿で触れたことも気になる。
All I know about Roblox is that there's a funny sound
T ヨシエの投稿には
when you hit. I think when you get hit or something. Like a ooh. That's from
情
Roblox,
報の
right?
入手経路はそこだったかもしれない。
When you die. Oh, when you die?
出演者は全員スマートウォッチをもらっている。2回目からは個人的に使うことが許されたし、その時アカウントのパスワードポリシーを聞いたはずだ。
Okay, I got it now.
T
The iconic oof is Roblox stuff. Oh, okay.
ユーマと揉めて本戦1回目で脱落した
I don't think it's her.
井上あかり。
A possible suspect believed to be a Seungyeon. Most of the contestants who were eliminated from the finals held a grudge against Hyeseung, and they knew more about one another's background stories, the watches, and password. I don't think it's her. There were still others with the potential. Oh god, okay.
も
Who
っと
else?
考えてみよう。
Oh right, our Stalker. We're slowly getting through it. So, Stalker. Stalker also being the hacker, and also Stalker who bears a grudge. It's not looking good for sale here.
ストーカーは買収やコネなどあらゆる手段を使って
Just saying.
近づく。ストーカーならそんな手口で情報に近づけたかもしれない。クニカは外部から喋ったへのログインが行われたというメッセージを受信したことがあったと言っていた。外の誰かがパスワードでアクセスした可能性もある。ストーカーは番組でクニカとよく関わっていた俺のことをひどく敵対視している。
Actually, you know what I remember just now? Back when this game
仲が良く
was about to come out, they actually did make a Twitter account where they posted like artwork of the characters acting like, ooh, the show is starting, just a few more days, blah blah blah. Everyone, please come or like watch the show when it happens, like as a kind of advertising. It was really cool.
恨む理由は十分にあるかもな。
Also more great artwork for the game. Okay, I got it now.
T ヨシエの正体に関する。クニカに執着して他の人たちを憎んでいた。
Well, we know someone who fits that profile. A possible suspect believed to be a Seungyeon. The stalker hates Hyesung and Doyoon. This person might have acquired sensitive information on contestants, the watches, and password policy from insiders or via cut off. Okay. For now, Doyoon had sorted out 3 possible suspects. Hello there, I've come from the future, 500 million years from now. While I was waiting for your answer, the world has been devastated by environmental disasters. I was thinking about environmental disasters? About a Seungyeon. You ready then? Tell me what you think. I think it's a staff member. I think it's a staff member.
出演者と上層部のせいで
Which doesn't rule out sale though.
パスワードやプライバシー情報も漏れていたはずだ。
Go back to square one. A Seungyeon's username contains part of her name.
ユーザー名
Hey?
T ヨシエってまさかプロデューサー
The name of the producer. Right, just look at the username. S. Seungyeon still stands tall even after her death was officially announced. Come to think of it, a member of the program staff could be a suspect. One more thing. I hear that your watches are not on the market yet. The camera was built into Hyesung's watch only. You didn't even know about the cloud backup thing. Could the viewers have known about that? I don't think so. Then there are the motive information and password. That seems way more probable, sir. Wow, I am telling you the answer. I give myself 100 out of 100 and let's call it a day.
おい待て
I got the correct what? Hold on. I'm not done yet. Talk to her is based on the premise that the Seungyeon is one of the staff members. There must be information that only you guys can access. After collecting enough clues, let's knock out the worm with a critical blow. Then all the anxiety will subside and you will be safe. I hope so. Remember, safety is the most important thing. Take care. Now go talk to your friends. Get back to me later. I hope our channel stays online until then. That was the last of the messages. It was difficult to read his mind from his casual tone.
本気で言ってんのか俺の無事を祈るなんて
But it was true that the Seungyeon's comments and existence were agitating people. If he was going to ward off his troll, Doyoon had no choice but to trust Pluckhole. Doyoon said the Seungyeon could be one of the staff members.
写真の流出や番組に関する噂はだいたい説明がつくわ。
Basically, we're just gonna say it. Like, I'm sorry, if we go and say, oh, it's probably one of the staff members. Like, Sale's gonna be like, oh, so you're suspecting me, huh? Oh, I'm only a poor little staff member, blah, 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 blah. And then he's gonna, like, lose his mind. And I don't know. Maybe the stalker thing will come up as well. Or he's gonna run off and die for whatever reason or something. Like, he's definitely gonna take it the wrong way if you accuse a staff member right now.
スタッフも一人や二人じゃないだろうし、ほとんど病院に運ばれたはずだよ。
He's a poor little stalker, my pure little meow meow.
今あんたが言ったことだけで何かできるかな？
No, there's one staff member right here.
僕たちだけであれこれ言ったところで結論に持っていくのは難しいと思うが、下手したら新しい脅威になるかもしれない。いっそ今まで分かったことを外部に知らせたら。
こっちが追跡中だってことがバレたらダメじゃない。自分で何とか
Cute little meow meows do stalk their
み
prey.
たいなことになったら。
なんでまたスタッフ
If he
なんで
runs
す
off
か
and dies, is that really any
ここまで
great
来たら
loss?
鬱陶しいですね
I would like for people to stop dying. Even if it's someone I don't like as much.
い いつもスタッフスタッフ
Ha! See?
事件
See?
が起きる
He's
たび
taking
に
it the wrong way
スタッフのせいに
already.
するんですか。外の話は気にしないでおとなしく救助を待ちましょう。
何もしないであいつが言ってる通り叩かれろっていうの？
Yes!
また何を言い出すかわからないんだよ。手遅れになったら対応も何も全然ダメかもしれない。私はね、あいつさえ消えたらいい
Making
と思ってる
omelets?
の。
Gotta break some eggs. Ina put her arms around her shoulders and
ク
trembled.
ニカちゃん、
Jung held Ina's hand.
一旦やってみるのも悪くないと思うわ。
No, it will hurt. Someo's gonna get
ただ
hurt.
の目立ちたがりなのか、ユウマくんを殺した犯人なのかも。
Someone is most
まだわ
likely
からな
going
いか
to
ら。
get hurt.
T 教えのやつ、次はりょうちゃんの番だって言ったのよ。犯人かどうかもわからないまま、私たちは恐怖に震えながら待つことになるわ。何事も起こらないことを祈りながらね。でもそんな姿は似合わない。
Hmm.
レイナさん、
正体を暴いたら犯人かどうかもわか
I'm
るでしょ。
surprised that Juyung is like, let's go the
犯人だっ
aggressive
たら
way.
捜査に協力したことになるし、犯人じゃなくても黙らせることができる。
Okay. Finally, Gyug and Sale nodded too.
そうですね、わかりました。でもどうやって？
スタッフといっても範囲が広すぎます。どこから調べればいいのか。
Everyone seemed to agree, but it didn't progress any further. 1 billion years has passed while I was waiting for you. No, you did not. You never mentioned before how you struggle to trust any of these people. Nah. What? You don't trust them? Damn. That's surprising. I talked to people about that, but the total number of staff members is quite large. Actually, we can significantly narrow it down. Significantly. Rule out all the staff members working at the site. Sung-Yin showed up at around 12:20. That's about 1 hour after the accident. Couldn't identify the missing and the list of staff names didn't match. Rescued people must have gone to the hospital, gone through an ID check, or talked with the rescue team or policeman. It was not a peaceful time for making a fuss on Fader. Then the staff member, as Sung-Yun, was not on site. Broadcasting station staff, contractors or part-timer, on and on and on. Someone who's got a lot to lose wouldn't do such a thing. You're more familiar with the processes within the broadcasting station. While I'm at it, I'll give you another hint. Let's think about the personality of a Sung-Yun. Do you think a Sung-Yun is impulsive or well organized? Dune raised his head to ask a question.
T よしやった衝動的に現れたと思います。
You trust Black Hole because they have glasses?
言い切ることはできないけど、私は衝動的だったと思うわ。
僕は計画的だったと思う。
I feel like it's a
ユーマの
mix.
投稿を見て現れたんだと思いますけどね。
計画でしょ。写真をアップして予告までしたのよ。
Quite impulsively. There's a character from Tsukihime named Seal. There's also one in Black Butler named Seal. Ciel. Sung-Yun seems impulsive. Sung-Yun reacts impulsively to the changing situation. Bingo! My thought, your thought. After finding out there are only a few of you left in the accident site, Sung-Yun crawled out of the hole. It's very unlikely that Sung-Yun planned this all out. The group seemed to believe that Sung-Yun was rather impulsive.
ステージの写真を見て、最初はすごく驚いたんだけど、改めて考えてみると、
Yeah, someone who
追
had
い
this
詰められて出し
plan
た切り札だと思うわ。
wouldn't feel the need to come out with something like that when cornered.
瞬発力ある方じゃない。
衝動的なだけに緻密じゃないってことか。
衝動的だったら何かが変わるんですか？
If Sung-Yun is an impulsive person, our provocative strategy will work well on him. We've got 2 leads so far. We do? First, by putting consistent pressure on Sung-Yun, they made a mistake of not erasing the time on the metadata part. From that mistake, we could infer that the photo was stolen from a watch in your place. The other one is our main challenge. There must be extra clues in Sungin's many unplanned posts. Let's figure it out. How did you do that on Feather? I didn't add you. Come on, you share with me the account and password. You can use multiple accounts on PC. That's not important at the moment. Assume that Sungin is someone you already know. With that in mind, read the post again to find out anything suspicious. Review the earlier ones. They must have given out more clues. Hello, I'm Sungin Shin, the chief producer of Beastars, rest assured. The top 5 contestants are showing no remorse and talking mindlessly without knowing that they're trapped there for punishment. They left me to die, but they will pretend as if nothing bad happened after they are rescued and continue to deceive their fans. Wait, the earliest post, or one of the earliest posts says, they left me to die. But Sungyun was already dead when we started the game. And we started the game at 11 something, I think, in game. 11 p.m. something. And we had not announced that to the outside world. This was before the announcement of her death, yes. Forget the impersonation of the producer. Just assume those posts were written by somebody you know well. What comes to your mind? Showing no remorse after talking mindlessly. Sungyun mentioned Sungyun's death before that was publicly announced. This one. Sungyun had mentioned the producer's death before it was made public. Good job. That's what you should use to troll the troll. Just focus on anything you find suspicious. Let's go over what the troll did. Okay. Sungyun made the first appearance at around 12:20 a.m. Sungyun's death was made public after that. To whom did you report the death? The rescue team? Yeah. Beastars, they were the first to be contacted. Interesting. That means Beastars is the first. The official account manager of Beastars posted the news nearly at the same time. Okay, we're on the right track. Oh, in the beginning of Sungyun's post there's a phrase, I am dead. Well, not really, but we'll take it. It's weird how they're blabbering on about how they were left to die or whatever. In the sentence saying that you should be held responsible for leaving Sungyun to die, omit the Sungyun part. Oh! Do you think it's the account manager who was like who they blamed for the mistakes with the, you know, how the profiles were fucked up and everything? It's impossible for Sungyun to know if she was left out to die or not. From the statement we can safely infer that as Sungyun is projecting their own experience into this matter. In Sungyun's post there's a phrase, the survivors left me to die. Sungyun stayed anonymous for fear of legal accusation or refutation. Sungyun was afraid of being bashed by the public when their identity was revealed. That's why the dumb Sungyun decided to use a fake name. Ah, a name to give themselves some authority. That was Sungyun Shin's. I see. Sungyun is using Sungyun's name out of all those anonymous accounts. You know what I'm saying? Now it's your turn to help me. Don't make me do the whole thing. Okay. It has to be that one person, the like part-time staff member who was blamed for a bunch of shit that they didn't even do. Soon came the Sungyun's post that Pluckle shared. Oh, ooh, okay. I was impressed by... What's this one? Reading Sungyun's post, it was found most of the stories were concentrated in the time period between team missions and the episode 1 from the finals. Wait, are these new things? Hold on. Let's start here then. Let's figure it out. Hello. Top 5 contestants. Oh, Pluckhole is just retweeting all of them again for us. Okay, great. Seungin said the contestants would be punished for what they had done. Is this a murder threat? And they demanded contestants all sincerely repent. Do-hyun's fans are struggling to protect him. Seungin announced that Hee-seung could survive the audition only because Seungin backed him up, and Ina looked mysterious only because a shameful past had been hidden. Seungin associated Do-hyun and Jo-young, who both had stage experience, with the words betray and runaway, as if personally upset about them. I understand you want to believe what you want, but that might put you in trouble. Okay, what's this one? Seungin slandered Gi-hook by mentioning a scholarship issue. They criticized him for taking away someone else's opportunity in an unfair manner. Over time, Seungin seems to believe more and more that they're the real Seungyeon. He betrayed no one. He must stay in one man for life. Do you guys even stick to something forever? Don't tell him what to do if you're not planning to feed him. Placol keeps provoking a Seungyeon. Looks like Placol has something to back it up, but the overall situation is in Seungyeon's favor. Oh, we can change that. We can change that real quick. It's been a while. Missed me, didn't you? Of course! Yes, we missed you very badly. Not so much. It's okay to be honest with me, dude. I love this guy. It makes our sanity go down. Anyway, let's continue our investigation. We will discuss and get to the conclusion, right? He decided to calmly mention some things that disturbed him. Okay. Tell Placol about clues Seungyeon left unfavored. Okay, the first one is the one about the death. Seungyeon already knew the producer's death before the news was out. The official B-Stars account had announced the death almost at the same time. It must have been kept secret. You see what I'm trying to get here? I hope you do. Or you don't. I do know. Fantastic. The official account already knew about her death, but waited for the announcement timing of the public news. There must be a chat room or social network dedicated to the B-Star staff. They must have heard about her death and been warned not to disclose it before the public broadcast. Except any staff members who weren't in the chat, the current staff members must have known about it. As Seungyeon mentioned Seungyeon's death as if it were fact, even before it was reported on the news. Any way for them to have gotten that info from the scene of the accident? You should present a new keyword. Okay. The neglection. When the Strollers not dead themselves, they still sound quite resentful. A dead person wouldn't use Faither anyway. From that I can assume that Seungyeon was projecting their own resent under Seungyeon's name. What as Seungyeon has said so far wasn't really about Seungyeon. Left her to die should be rephrased to left me to die. Now, recollect if a former staff member caused any issue in the past. Oh, they did. Anger is felt in the Seungyeon's post, as Seungyeon seems to talk about themselves under Seungyeon's name. What made them so resentful is to claim that they were left to die. Oh, I know. Disregard it. Come to think of it, the tone as Seungyeon uses to criticize Ina and Hee-seung is somewhat different from others. As Seungyeon blames him to be an attention seeker lacking skills and stuff. As Seungyeon is probably jealous of him, trying to hide a sense of inferiority. You know those people. Now, it's time to profile this person. I believe this person is older than Hee-seung and Ina, that's why Seungyeon blows off so much steam against them. Oh, wait, older than Hee-seung and Ina. So, 40? No, 24? 25? I don't remember how old Ina is, I just remember that Hee-seung was 20. And Do-hyun is like, Do-hyun I think is 24? I don't know. Maybe as old as Gi-hook and Jo-young, as Seungyeon is doing their best not to get caught by changing IP and so on. I think as Seungyeon failed to make a professional debut or something like that. Another possibility is this one. I heard both Hee-seung and Ina didn't make it to the university, so little is known about Ina, but her education background was revealed somehow. Then Seungyeon must be feeling superior to them in terms of the educational background. Oh, okay. Considering how Seungyeon criticized Hee-seung and Ina, they must be older than the two of them. Based on what they said about Gi-hook, they might be about Gi-hook's age. I feel like something like that, like the way they talk, was probably a little more obvious in the Japanese or the Korean version of the game. Like they're trying to differentiate a little how they talk about people with like different ways of speech, but it's not as obvious. Betrayal. When a Sunyan mentions Juyong or you, a Sunyan is most likely to call you by your well-known titles, the runaway and betrayer. Duyun Han the betrayer. Sounds dope, huh? I don't think so. Anyway, the reason a Sunyan uses those titles is not only because of the show's controversial nature, but also because of their personal emotion. Maybe they thought you guys would empathize with them. Since your indie band and Juyong had already been in the industry for a while, a Sunyan could have been your fan, who knows? Anki's green reflection tend to suffice. You know about reciprocity? You know what? Fuck this. As much as a Sunyan cared about their celeb, they expect the celeb to show them an equivalent amount of interest. I know it's reciprocate, so how do you say reciprocity? Reciprocity? I had it right? Oh no. Nah. Some people feel betrayed when the celeb doesn't recognize them, right? The Sunyan seems emotionally invested with Doyun and Juyong. They might be a fan of at least one of them. Okay, what else do I have? Personally, specific time. A Sunyan disclosed some past stories of B-stars like team missions of Hyesung and Ina, Hyesung's school violence, and an affair between Hyesung and a dancer. Reciprocate. Reciprocate. Reciprocity? Reciprocity? Reciprocate. Reciprocate? Oh, I hate this. I've checked the fact about the scandal and I found out he was simply framed by others. The scandal happened between 6th to 9th episode. A Sunyan didn't mention anything before or after those episodes. Oh. They could be one of the staff members who worked during that period. Or just wanted to harass Hyesung online. So, that one part-time member. The internal affairs of Beastars that the Sunyan blabbered on about were all related to episodes 6 to 9. Maybe they participated in production of these episodes. That's it for now. We somehow hijacked your stream to tell you how to pronounce it. One day, I'll give you all like somewhere to collect words you want to see me pronounce, and then we'll just sit here for like an hour listening to me absolutely mispronouncing them wrong, and you guys all going, "What the fuck, Noah?" I'll be boxing with a Sunyan again. Making a Sunyan reveal more and more while exchanging punches. Hope Sunyan gives out a crucial clue. How are you gonna provoke Sunyan? I can hit the weak spots, such as their own ego or complex. Just chatting stream, but that the entire time. If I keep bringing up every past issue that have been caused by the staff members, a Sunyan might strongly react to one of them. You know what that means? Pronunciation stream, yeah. Which one do you think will be more effective? I'll leave that to you. Now go talk to your friends like a great detective. Great detective! In the meantime, I'll be boxing with a Sunyan. You will 100% not attend. That would be torture. Aww. Go, go, go. After finishing his stories, Dorian raised his head. Huh? No, I'm trying to find out who this person is. But yeah, I've been just staring at my watch the entire time, huh? Shakespeare reading stream? Oh no, I will die. I've never read any of Shakespeare's works. We just need to find a visual novel with lots of rarely used words. No! Please! Please, why? To be or not to be? That is the question.
りょう、 バッテリー節約した方がいいんじゃないか。いつ切れるかわからないからね。
もしかしてヒントになるようなもの見つけたの？
One of them made me happy by having the line where the character literally just says I am dumb. Great. That sounds lovely. I mean, to be fair, I've read one screenplay version of Midsummer Night's Dream because we did that in 5th grade theater classes and stuff. Well, classes is the wrong word anyway. 5th grade theater. But I wouldn't count that as having read Shakespeare. You come from Shakespeare land and you're pretty fair. I'm pretty fair I couldn't read that without tripping. Oh, pretty sure. Yeah. Ye olde English is not really my forte. Even ye modern English is not my forte.
そのために話し合いましょう。
Merchant of Venice. Okay. You have a story of having to read Shakespeare in high school. It's inappropriate. Okay. Yeah, if it's inappropriate for stream, maybe don't. I'm running out of save slots. Oh, fuck it. I'll just overwrite these. I don't need them anymore. Probably, hopefully. Anyway, nope. We're gonna call Inha.
りょうちゃん、あんたもプラグホールをプッシュしてるの？
Yes.
いきなり何のことだ？
プラグホール。喋ったーで T ヨシエのことを追い詰めてるじゃない。あっちの言い方も
I like that they kept plug hole as plug hole in the Japanese dub, but they changed Sungyun, which makes sense. I mean, they changed the original's name as well.
それもそうだな。
T ヨシエが負けるか、自分が言ってるより大してやつじゃなかったら、果たしてその時はどうなるんだろう。
Cry.
T ヨシエがいるだけで不安すぎる。
Can those watches call literally anybody? Only people. No, we can only call people who also like who are in our contacts, and the only people in our contacts are people who also have a watch.
もし T ヨシエ
Wait,
が
that's not
潰
true.
されていなくなったら、
Sale is on there, but if you try to call Sale, it will just tell you, oh, Sale doesn't have a watch, you can't call him.
一体誰の仕業なのよ。
Yeah, Twitch is being fucky. I'm sorry to hear it. It's the same for me. It's the same for me. We're all here. Okay, so let's talk about a specific time frame.
それなら
I guess it was from the beginning of Super Week to the finals. What the fuck is a Super Week? Do you remember any conspicuous event or episode? Regarding the staff or contestants, or about me? Do you just want me to tell you anything?
はい。
Yes, for now. What? You'd mask or pizza delivery? Because it... Oh, because they couldn't get to you. No! June paused to think while rubbing her chin.
それが
There was a rival mission during episode
あの
6.
時は
Masquerade barely passed the rival mission.
私は
And the show made it look like I had a serious conflict with
合
Yu
っ
Yu.
てます。
I was surprised because it was different from what I saw. They portrayed me as a hysterical maniac. Yu was also portrayed as someone who tried to go along with me but talked behind my back. In reality, it was just an intense discussion that resulted from our difference in opinions. Even after we came to an agreement, they made it look like we were still on bad terms with each other. In episode 6, the show aired a flashback of Jung and made it look like there was a quarrel between her and Gyu-hyuk. It was nothing serious, but it was edited differently. Okay, tell me more about that.
そうよね。
Familiar taste, smells, food in general. Yeah, like, but imagine you're stuck down there and the, like, rescue people can't get to you, but some pizza delivery guy actually makes it to you. He's like, here's your pizza! And then it's like, how do you get in here? What? They paired me up with Gyu.
その時は
What was the song for the team mission, Come What May?
そうよ。
You remember well. Gyuk didn't give any opinion at the time. I'm sure Gyuk had his own ideas, but he stuck to mine too much. He was giving his own only when I almost pressured him to. That might have looked like a quarrel.
私は
I was actually enjoying our conversation. Yeah, it was a normal conversation. Not every conversation has to be pleasant. Like, you can be at odds, like, you don't have to have the same opinion all the time and still get along well. He can, yeah, he can lead you out. No, it actually collapses more after he gets in, but at least you have pizza. Pizza Levy presents of becoming national hero. You guys were just having a normal conversation. It's not like you can always laugh and be happy when talking to someone. Hyuk shouldn't have lowered himself like that. Ooh.
そうよね。
It's one of the reasons why I provoked him a bit. You just wanted to know what he really had in mind.
そうよ。
Yeah, he later thanked me for that. Chewing let out a low sigh.
あの時、
I caught him trying to show something different than the quarrel we had.
そうですか
Something else.
それは
The gossip that circulated on Faye there earlier? I found out they were trying to add that to the episode. That's harsh.
そうね。
At the time, I went to confront Sungin myself. I angrily demanded her to give up on that, so she dropped it eventually. Ooh. The show tried to broadcast Jung's love scandal without her consent. She had a quarrel with the producer. Eventually, her dating rumor was taken off the table, but her panic attacks made it on air. I was so surprised back then. He brings a square pizza for himself because he knows it's a one-way trip pizza. That sounds fun. Okay, now we have a bunch of stars and pizza delivery people to rescue from the building. Woo! Why is it suddenly more people? They got hungry. If they thought something was unfair, were they criticized for something they didn't do or blamed more than they deserved? Is that why they're venting on like that on Fader?
そうかも
I just think it's plausible.
なんだっけ
An incident involving a staff, if we're to narrow it down. You can do and face each other lost in thought. I remember the accident when our profiles got mixed
そう
up.
だった
It was clearly a mess. People started a boycott of B-Stars and it became a trend to complain directly to the official B-Stars account. They missed the basic numbers, which means the data wasn't being managed properly. I even saw a comment accusing the show of fabricating the number of votes. Yeah, that's the only thing that comes to mind at the moment. An accident where the profiles of the finals contestants were mixed up. Viewers reacted angrily to the incident. Wait, hold on. Can I actually... He's 25. Jung is 28. Hyesung is 20. Ina's also 25. I was almost there. Okay. From fan to hater. They could be an old fan.
どうだ
Yeah, I'd an old fan of Ju-young's or mine.
さあ
Well, I never made my debut,
俺
so...
は
Actually, most of my former fans turned against
そ
me.
れは
That's because of the misunderstanding.
え
Is that what you believe?
正直
What choice do I have? You saved my life. I will always believe... Oh, homie!
あの
You're embarrassing me.
え
What do you mean? I've always been like this. When are you going to stop? Probably never. Woo! Okay. What about this one?
なんだっけ
Did the finals begin with episode 9? Episode 6 was about team missions. You've got some good memory. Yeah, that's why I'm the protagonist.
それは
I can't forget because that's when I made it to the finals.
もし
Anything that comes to your mind?
さあ
You feel slightly lost with that conversation? Yeah. The heck was you getting at? It's like, It's like like, Do-yoon saved his life. So no matter what Do-yoon does, he's always gonna believe in him, like he's a good person, he saved his life. That kind of thing, like he's eternally grateful or something. And Durian was like, oh my god, that's embarrassing. Thank you for the pen and higher time. I guess. I think he was trying to get to something like that, maybe. I had no time to care about other matters because things were so hectic back then.
僕も
By then, everyone was slinging mud on their own. The overheated tension near the end of the preliminaries. Just be grateful someone in Universal trusts you, red-jacketed fool! Things really got heated at the end of the preliminaries. Not just us, but also for the viewers.
結局
At the end, we were nearly suffocating one another.
そうだったな
Yeah, we were exhausted both mentally and physically. I knew what to expect from the beginning, but it was a different kind of incident. Hugh scratched the tip of his nose.
ともかく
However, we managed to make it to the finals. And see where it has gotten us now. We're buried! Yay! He's like the aliens in Toy Story when they were rescued from the claw. I have to admit, I have never seen Toy Story. I'm so sorry. Oh, you're talking about that time. When I broadcast the episode where they made it look like there was a serious argument between Ju-young and me.
それは
I think it was during episode 6. Hugh scratched the back of his head. I was somewhat subdued because I wanted to keep the peace with her. It was a mistake though. He was partially responsible for that. Laying low is not always a good answer.
それは
It was your fault to a certain extent. Lowering yourself blindly doesn't mean that you're respecting the other person. Oh!
そうだよ
Right, and Ju-young also thought it was not right. Our discussion might have sounded like an argument.
それは
And they edit?
違うよ
No, actually they edited it in 2 different scenes with that one. Completely out of context, but the conversation was edited to achieve what they wanted. They never cease to surprise me. That's when I realized how dreadful the consequence of editing could be. Ju-young and Gyug were portrayed as if they had a conflict in episode 6, but it was actually a result of evil edits. Evil. Evil edits.
とにかく
The public opposition was quite severe at the time. The built-up anger towards Beastars finally exploded. They also suspected the production crew of intentionally changing the profiles in favor of some contestants.
そうだった
The company then saved its neck by creating a scapegoat. I heard it was a younger staff member who uploaded the profile data. The production staff responded quickly. They fired him first and then made an official statement. Duke spoke again after a brief pause.
だけど
But the staff member was pretty well known in the Fader community. He wasn't as well known as Sungin though.
もしかして
Do you think he could be the one? I heard some of the staff members disclose their workplaces or job titles on Fader. They all seem to get along when things are going well, but things could get ugly if an accident occurred like the profile one.
結局
Some of them even ended up deleting their accounts. I overheard something like that several times. Oh. Some staff members had to close their accounts because they faced public criticism soon after they revealed their involvement in Beastars. Okay.
それが
Come to think of it, it could have happened to you as well. The official account manager came to see me out of nowhere. You will go reheat leftovers? Okay. Man, I wish I had some food right now. Oh, he also came to see me. Doing quietly nodded. He told me he was being replaced after he got caught up in an issue and how he thought it was unfair.
そうだったな
I'd never seen this guy before, so I was a bit taken aback. He did that to you too?
あ
Yeah, he came out of nowhere and said the same thing. Oh. Weren't you surprised because a stranger suddenly approached?
もし
It's like a total stranger came to see you out of nowhere.
そうだよ
I was indeed. Dorian recollected his memory as he watched Gyu hunching his shoulders.
その時は
At the time, I didn't know what to say. He just came out of nowhere. I'm sure anyone would have felt the same. After being replaced by another staff member, he whined to contestants whom he just met that his reassignment wasn't fair. I have a feeling it is that staff member, honestly. From fan to hater.
待ってよ。
Come to think of it, they hired staff members sometime in between. A whole bunch of them came in and helped us with various things. And they all quit at the same time when school started up again.
Eh?
I know, what about them?
そうだから。
They looked amazed. It was the first time seeing a celebrity, a broadcasting company, and all the related facilities. What celebrity? Ina Sal was scratching the side of her head.
ね
You have no interest in anyone, do you? Ju-young, of course. Oh, I remember now. She was a beloved member when those guys were in high school.
え。そうだけど。
I think many of them were her fans. They cheered and screamed as soon as they saw her. A bunch of staff quitting at the same time. Oh, no. These were part-time contractors. Like, they just did it for, like, summer break. That is not suspicious, and for once, actually. They even asked for her autograph and took pictures with her. It looked like a fan meeting.
あの時は
So you do remember. Just seeing them made me feel happy. Aw, many of the newly hired staff members were fans of Beloved. Some even cheered after meeting Ju-young in person. Oh, that's cute, huh? Personal account issue.
私が思うに。
Everyone wants to talk about their own story, right? And being a member of a certain organization doesn't forbid you from using Feather either. The problem is that using Feather could lead to more accidents.
つまり。
The problem lies with the management, not Feather.
もし
Anything in particular that comes to mind? I remember the accident where the official account was mistakenly used for posting inappropriate comments. Oh. Yeah, accidentally posting on the official account and not your private account, and then it's something... yeah, you need to be careful with that.
そうかも
That kind of job is hard to avoid criticism, especially after when he made a major mistake like that.
そうだよ。
Of course, he was supposed to be the official account manager. He was actually severely criticized for making that mistake. Ina sighed deeply.
違う？
It's the account for posting announcements. Imagine how many people saw the message. It was such an explosion of criticism. He explained that he mixed up the official account with his personal account, but people didn't buy it. Everyone thought that there must have been another reason. By then I couldn't watch it anymore. The official account manager had made a mistake and was blamed by many for it. His poor explanation was largely ignored. People demanded a more reasonable explanation. I mean, it's one thing to say, oh, I mixed up the account, but if it's like a hate comment towards someone, that's kind of bad. Okay, beloved fan.
だとすると。
Come to think of it, he was one of the fans. He who?
それは
Who's he? He was given the role of managing the official accounts later. Ina clicked her tongue while looking at Doyun's face.
なんなの？
Why do you look so lost?
ちょっ
It's
と
like
待
you
って
don't care about anything other than yourself. Bruh, you could also just give me a name or something, or...
それは
Well, at the time I had Masquerade to worry about.
そうね。
I see. I guess that makes sense. The problem is that he played favorites with the official account. He! Who? The official Beastars account manager was a big fan of Bila. Okay, thanks. He who?
マジ。
The account accident was ridiculous. He used the official account to share negative posts towards Hyesung. Not just a few, but a whole bunch of posts. Ina frantically scratched the back of her head.
それは。
He's also been monitoring Fader with his personal device. He'd been switching between the official account and his personal account when writing posts. And he forgot to switch accounts when writing the post. That sounds horrible.
とにかく。
He deleted the post right away, but it was too late. People starting with Hyesung's fans reacted crazily. Oh, it shouldn't have happened. He also hinted enough times that he was a fan of Beloved.
ヒホヒホ。ヒ
違うんじ
ヒホ。
ゃないか
That shouldn't have happened. He was open about being a Beloved fan even when he was on the official account.
でしょ？
I know, what would other people think? They thought Beastars intended to shun Hyesung while supporting Ju-young. Jun broke the silence while nodding.
それなら
Looking at it that way, I believe this was the most serious accident.
だけどさ。
But surprisingly, the accident was all wrapped up after they posted a statement of apology. The official account manager was replaced instead of getting fired.
そうだから。
That's why timing is important. He got caught and punished, but survived nonetheless. while the other guy got fired immediately after messing up the profiles. Oh! Wait, so there's a former official account manager and that guy is not the same as the guy who messed up the profiles. That is good to know, because for some reason I thought it was like the same person. The account manager made the mistake of sharing a post critical of Hyesung while logged into the official account. Although he quickly deleted the post, it was too late. Haha! Okay, so that's 2 different staff members. That is a big change. Big difference.
そうです。
And clearly it was Beastars who leaked Sungyun's accident for the first time. As Sungyun ran their mouth off as if Sungyun was really dead. At the time there wasn't even an official announcement yet.
そうかも。
I guess the information could have been circulated internally.
それが
There's so many group chats that the staff use. There are different types of staff members, so it's hard to keep account of them. There's also a chat room for former staff
も
members.
し
How do you know that there's a chat room for former staff members if you are an active staff member? Just wondering? I'm hoping to figure out the fake account before they get out and say to police when yes, officer, this poster right here. Are some of these chat rooms used for work purposes?
はい。
Of course, for emergency contacts. Since we have some part-timers, not everyone is given a company email, you know?
それなら
Do you think they also received the information provided by us? Sale nodded after a brief silence.
仕方ないですね。
They had to post a notice on the Beastars official account report the news to the executives. It's likely that the news was spread among the group chats as well. Still, the scope is quite broad. Even if you narrow it down to those in the chat rooms.
実は
It's just that so many people come and go. And sometimes former employees still remain in some chat rooms. That's what I keep thinking of. It's like, okay, it might be one thing if you let them go officially, but what if no one ever takes them out of the group chat and there's like, I don't know, several hundreds of people in the group chat? You won't notice that they're still in there. Staff members joined their own group chat rooms. Songyun staff must have been shared via those chat rooms. Okay.
はい。
Any mistakes made by the staff? You're talking about the guy responsible for the social media part?
合ってる
Something about holding a grudge or being neglected? Still stared into the air for a minute but soon regained focus.
実は
In fact, there were a few incidents. Who doesn't use Phaedra these days? Although you're one of the few people who seldom use Phaedra.
そう思います。
That's why information has often been leaked by the staff. A leak?
いわば
For example, using personal accounts to upload photos while working on the show, or leaking the recording schedule and rankings and so on.
そんなところ
If
でしょ。
people discover the personal accounts of Beastar staff members, hardcore fans keep monitoring them. I heard they had been coaxing new info out of one of the more gullible members or even offering to pay for new info. An experienced staff member would have been careful, but there were also short-term workers. There was another training session for the entire staff after the preliminaries.
どうしてもですね
It。was for conveying the message to the staff that they should be careful with their personal accounts,
それなら
as the number of incidents decreased since then. Yeah, but not completely. Most young staff members are using it already, but after several incidents, they were retrained not to use a private Phaedra account to leak info about the show. There's a modern-day murder mystery that makes use of the internet. It's almost always overlooked, right? I mean, they could have made it to be like, oh, we're completely shut off, we cannot access anything. But I think it's actually really interesting because them being stuck there obviously is making them more anxious, and the only source of new information they get is through a social media site, like one of the worst things to get information from and stuff. It's so funny. You return with kisses, but oh man, welcome back. They seem more disgusted than other people. Yeah.
もし
Any... Can you stop giving me words that I know I cannot pronounce? Any eligibility requirements you remember? Like age or educational background? Something that would make them feel that they are better than those two.
知りません。
College students have good educational backgrounds. I'm not sure if you were aware of this, but there were so many college
そん
kids.
なところでしょ。
They work during college breaks and quit before the new school semester
そ
begins.
れなら、
Which episodes were they then?
それは
Considering what was filmed, it should be from episode 6 to 7. What? It was correct? Nice. Also, thank you for the curse. A cursed in exchange, okay. Bah. Sale stopped talking and gave a smirk.
でも
By the way, that kind of puts me in a category too. What do you mean? I'm older than Hyesung. I graduated from a university, although I have no sense of inferiority, I still hate Hyesung. You have no sense of inferiority? I don't quite believe that.
もし
Am I also a suspect? Yes, you are. Are the ears getting cut off? Yes, they are. I'm sorry, that's bothering me. Yes, you are. But you don't hate Ina. Thank you for the pet.
あのさ
Sale, forget about Hyesung. What about Inha? I know you don't like Hyesung, but I'm not sure about Inha. That alone proves that you're not a Seungyeon. Wait, what did that?
そうです
You know me then. I mean, no, he's not. I don't suspect him of being the Seungyeon person. But that doesn't mean I don't suspect him of being someone who could carry out the murder down here. Any of the people here right now could be the murderers. The pad redeem is even for 6 years. Hey. Of course. Listen, it took me over a year to actually get it to work. It better be seamless. Of course not. No way I hate Inha. But I actually dislike Hyesung. We know. You've been supporting us from the beginning. I don't think you dislike Hyesung enough to hurt him.
はい
Exactly. I'm not the type to hurt anyone. Anyway, our suspect pool is too big at the moment. University student part-timers usually quit work when a new semester begins. They'll probably work there until episode 7. A few part-timers still remain. All our hornies for the Octuple year come away. Okay, sure. Give me money for it then. Specific time frame.
ということは
During super break.
わかった
Yes, what happened in episodes 6 to 9 have been mainly discussed, so it's very likely that it is someone who worked during that
も
period.
し
Only that time period was covered because we were too into criticizing Hyesung's past, right?
そして
And there are so many staff members who worked during that time. We hardly hired so many new recruits after the preliminaries because we were understaffed. Although many of them quit soon after, most of them were hired during episodes 6 to 9. The numbers amounted to about half of the total B-Star staff for the season.
あのさ
Can't we narrow it down? Do any of those new recruits stand out? My memory is
不
vague.
確かです
It was during a college break, so we hired a lot of college students as contract workers. And we already established that, like, we didn't really take care of the staff members, like, properly and the contract, so... It's not like I hired or interviewed them myself. I can't remember every single one of them. They hired new staff members after the third preliminary round finished. Most of them were university students on vacation. Imagine you're on vacation and you go to work. Personal account issue.
それは
That happened often.
そうか
Are you saying you guys check on all the staff members?
実は
We don't even have to. They tend to post it on their own. And the posts automatically become an issue. Well, there's no law prohibiting you from posting photos of your workplace. Imagine Doyoung gets murdered right before we find out who's behind the account because he is once again looking at us. Oh no! I'm sure they enjoyed the attention at first, but it never ended happily.
そう思います
It was the worst after the profile accident happened. Even his private account was dragged out. It was right after the incident, wasn't it? Even a single grumble was magnified as something very significant.
結局
Significant. I guess Gyuk was right. So what happened in the end?
それが
He deleted his account and disappeared. Even after he got fired, he was on the verge of falling victim to doxing. Ooh. Still lowered his gaze after realizing the stunned look on Do-yoon's face. You didn't know, it's only natural. Ooh. Just vaguely know what he couldn't have known? Watch out in the game.
それは
Dun, 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 dun. You better watch out. You better watch out. Everyone just gets hit by a stage beam. There never are any survivors in the first place. Here's an ending. Everyone dies. Dun, dun. I didn't know much about it till now. In my defense, there was no way of knowing.
そうですね
Well, that's true. Even if he had sided with him, it wouldn't have changed anything. And it was his fault that he didn't comply with the policy concerning personal accounts. He had also done a few other things in the past. The rest of the staff was busy preparing for the main episodes, but then we had to do his work too. Some staff members complained about having to do more work.
そんな
Even the staff members were divided on this issue.
はい
You can handpick at a lazy person, but you can do nothing about a moron. That's what Sungin used to say. He must have thought it was unfair, but it was inevitable back then. Personal Fader account of the staff member responsible for the profile incident was revealed. The Fader mob didn't stop harassing him until he deleted his account. Start of game, everyone dies, end of game. Yeah. This one.
そんなところでしょ
Most of them quit after a short period of time.
でも
But some must have remained, right?
そうですよ
The homepage manager in the support department was still there. He said he might join the military after some time though.
そして
There might be a couple left in the social media department. Well, that's all I can think of for now.
それなら
Only those in the support department remained then?
違うと思います
Actually, all new recruits were assigned to the support department from the beginning. They were going to quit soon, so I only assigned them simple jobs that didn't require lots of training. Like for the homepage or social media, stuff that required lots of menial labor. New hires were given tasks such as managing the website or posting social media content. What better story vibe than everyone sticking together?
そんなところでしょ
There were many odd jobs around the show. For example, moving the equipment or costumes. Updating Fader was also one of them.
それは
Are you talking about the official account?
はい
Yeah, that part also had many ups and downs. They were constantly changing who was in charge of managing it.
そうか
They kept changing the manager.
それは
That's... Say continue with his arms crossed.
いわば
The first manager was replaced by the now ex-staff member for a bit. The former staff member, the one responsible for the profile accident?
はい
Yes, but he wasn't just in charge of that. He was working on many things at the same time. After the profile accident happened, the original manager returned. Come to think of it, he was also a strange person. What do you mean?
それが
He was somewhat similar to Hisung? Was like Hisung who relied on someone behind him, someone was covering him? He gave us just information about the people who died and short explanation how they died. Are you saying someone covered for him? He came back to the position, which means he wasn't fired when he was replaced. Oh, that's what they mean. It was like, eh? What are you talking about? How is he similar? I guess Hisung reminds you of someone covering for him, huh? See a powder with a blank expression on his face.
でも
Rather, it has more to do with the fact that he was a Fader star. Since he was responsible for the official account, he had many Fader friends. He was just conveying the messages generated internally, but he made such a big deal out of it.
そして
So even if he made a small mistake, most users acted benevolently towards him. He was a Fader star just like Hisung. Although now people criticize him. People want speedy updates. So put on a riddling expression on his face. I guess it's all the more confusing now that Sungin isn't there to run things. The previous official account manager returned after the poor staffer who had caused the profile accident got fired. That is confusing as fuck, actually. Oh no, not angry, just... I'm not angry. Okay, let's, beloved fan. I was surprised at first. I was happy someone would remember that time and welcome me. I wish only good things happened, but
もしかして
something happened.
それが
It was my mistake. And he wanted to hear the stories from the past, so I told him a little.
それは
From the past? What are you talking about? About the concept of beloved. The concept of beloved. It was a cute group.
でも
At first, its content was to be chic, but it had to be changed right before the debut.
その時は
At the time, that was gaining popularity. Must have been a misjudgment. I was confused but okay with it, because it was a debut that we'd been longing for. The agency, failing to identify a market trend, amended the concept of the girl group right before making their debut. She was just happy that she could be on the stage. I don't see anything wrong with that story though.
それは
The next day, what I said was posted on the official Beastars website in Father. You must have immediately known who was responsible. My boss called me up and I was reprimanded.
あの時
I've learned to watch my mouth ever since. I answered his question because I was glad to see him. Oh, June was reprimanded for answering the staff's question without a second thought because it was posted in various websites. Aw, I'm sorry for her though. Like you're just talking to someone because you think, oh, you were a fan of what I did before, and then it's like, haha, you immediately posted online, it's information, got it. Great.
確かに
I began to watch my mouth.
そうかも
Things had gotten awkward and other contestants became quiet. The staff members overhear many things while working at the studio.
私は
I was just answering his questions. They even posted a notification for everyone involved in the show. I never thought I'd be the first one. I mean, you've learned just to not say anything. After that,
でも
you learned your lesson. And the issue was resolved before it got worse.
そう
I was given a warning and that was it.
そうなんですか
But what about the staff member who wrote the post? Was he okay too?
そうよね
Yeah, part of that was my fault for being careless. After finishing her remark, June wore a puzzled look.
結局
But in the end, the accident happened.
そうですか
Accident. By the way, which staff member spread the post?
それが
It was the youngest staff member?
もしかして
Oh, the guy who got fired after the profile accident.
そうよ
Right. Even before the accident, he often wrote posts about contestants on the website or Father. He was probably fired because of that. The youngest staff member caused trouble by posting rumors that he had heard from contestants on the Beastars websites and Father. Ah, finally we're getting some more points. This one.
りょうくん
You don't have a Father account, do you? What? I do. You and I both know I do. You've seen me post on it. What the fuck are you saying?
それは
What? I created an account when I made it to the finals. Actually, it was created by someone else, so it had nothing to do with it.
そうなんだ
That means you only have the official account created for each contestant. Oh, maybe she meant like you don't have a private account, like a personal account. Is Beastars there? Not literally. Yeah. Doyun Han. Yes. Yes, it is. It bothers me because I have to keep looking at it. Like right now. Jing shook her wrist with a bitter look on her face.
やっぱり
So you know what it feels like having to constantly refresh the Father page.
それは
Actually, the vocalist in my band was passionate about Father. He also managed our band account. He was just doing his job in the beginning, but he got hooked on it later on. Yeah, as long as you don't overdo it. Jig stopped talking and looked down at her watch. Assuming will have to take responsibility for overdoing it. Doing being a spirit animal? Like, oh, I don't like it. I have it, but I'm not a fan.
そういえば
There were staff members other than those who quit when school started again. They joined the staff at around the same time but worked longer before quitting.
そうですか
People who quit voluntarily or... including both. June frowned, trying to trace back through her memory. When was the youngest staff member who got fired after the profile
も
accident?
し
Was there someone else? There was a guy who quit before the finals. I can't remember the reason, but I think it was something personal. Oh!
それは
How do you know that?
そうよね。
Sometimes I exchange small talk with the staff members. I could never do that. I still get nervous when I'm on stage.
私もよ。
But I don't talk to them anymore. I've been through a lot. For now, only those two come to mind. Okay, you've just given me another character that we know nothing about. Except student part-timers, the only staff members who left Beastars were the staff member who quit before the finals and the member who got fired after the profile accident. You have one, but you actually using feels like so much work. I just like scrolling through my timeline and seeing pretty art and seeing what my friends post about. They all quit when school started again.
だから
The place looked deserted. I never realized when the place was packed.
そうよね。
It takes so many people to support the show. Feels new, huh? I didn't realize it either when I was in Beloved. I guess I only focused on myself while performing on stage.
はい
I wasn't much different. It was my first time working with so many staff members. I did not know. Remind me and I'll have a look after stream. I guess we both lacked experience and self-discipline. Jung's weak smile suddenly faded. But to imagine Sungyeon could have been standing among those people kind of gives me chills. Yeah. This one. You tweet it up on your second monitor all the time, but already. Yeah, I use TweetDeck as well. It's just one of the tabs I have constantly open because it's easier that way. But I'm more the type to just like silently like other people's stuff, and then I'm like, oh wait, I need to post stuff as well. Ha! I'm the creator here. I need to post, but all I call it petty work, none of it is actually negligible. The show tried to assign excessive work to the inexperienced staff and it caused problems. They used to have enough manpower. They should have thought everything through when they hired short-term workers. 3 or 4 staff members had to handle the work of 10 people.
そうね。
Negligible? I hate it here. When an accident happens, the lowest level employee has to take the fall. Same thing with the profile accident. Everyone knew what really went
結
on.
局
It only goes to show how the company treats its employees. Jung firmly nodded. Ever since, the number of applicants for open positions has dwindled. Who would want to be treated as a disposable worker? That's true. I did it right earlier. I did. Shut up.
僕もだ
I saw some of the staff members who came to see Jooyoung. Weren't you also visited by some of your fans?
そうだった
Only briefly in the beginning. The band wasn't that popular and there was also an incident during the finals. You're being modest. I was really nervous when I first saw you and Jooyoung. The game is testing. Yes, it's just getting worse. Both of you had performed on stage before, so I could feel the difference in you. I didn't think I'd make it to the finals. That's not something I want to hear from you. I'm actually complimenting you. Well, thank you then.
だろ
Just do it a bunch of different ways. You're sure to get it right. Negligible. Negligible. I hate it. And that's why I want to cheer you up.
わかるだろ
I know what you mean. Let's pull ourselves together.
あ
Right. It's not over until we make it out of here safely. And once we do, it's going to be a new beginning for us. Oh, for us? For us?
どうも
There are many fatal users indeed. Yes.
そうだろ
And that's why there are many fatal accidents. Many of the Beastar staff also seem to use Fader
それ
personally.
が
Accidents happen with the contestants and the staff members, but there's nothing wrong with expressing yourself on Feather, right?
でも
It's a problem if they go too far with the excessive information. That's how they gain more attention. Kyug nodded after a brief pause.
そうかもな
I guess that's how you end up giving away more information. Some people enjoy other people's attention. We're not that different from them. We already gave away lots of information. His brooch somehow really annoys me. The cross? Should write us words down and make a test for the... Yeah! Okay. Sure. Sure, just collect all of the words that I ever have trouble pronouncing. It's a lot. I mean, I finally learned how to say... What was it? I mean, I'm learning how to say significantly correctly. And I finally learned how to say inevitable right. So we're getting there. I've already improved.
そうだろ
Right, including the information which we didn't agree to
も
provide.
しかしたら
Yeah, maybe. Assuming it could be one of them. Yes, yes, yes. If he wasn't planning on taking time off school, he could only work for a short term. I also worked a lot of part-time jobs to buy musical instruments. And after that I had to work to buy bigger pieces for my band. What about your school tuition?
それは
I just fooled around, didn't really care about anything but the band after I graduated.
正直
You were into music, that's not irrelevant stuff. You lightly patted Doyoung. You knew what you were doing. Aww. You know nothing, that's all he could do. You've progressed significantly, it was inevitable. I do not want to read out your message because I have a is it pronounced the same as inevitable, or is that one like he actually that one is pronounced inevitability or something? Probably not, right? Oh god, I can't fucking type. It's pronounced the same. I hate it. Why?
Inevitability.
Inevitability. That's stupid. I hate the English language actually. A school setting, yeah. Learn words that Newick can barely pronounce. Why is that stupid? Because I dislike the word. I've said it wrong my whole life. And now you're telling me that I just don't like the pronunciation, no? Keeping a goal and change is not as easy as it sounds. Easier said than done, to be honest. Doyen slurred his last words. People usually waste time on thinking only. There's nothing wrong with being careful. I think it takes more courage to actually take action. I also took my time while pondering on what to do with my life, and it really sucked. I have a feeling I'm missing something. Oh, maybe I missed some on sale or something. Just act like you're doing it right. Okay, I'll try. Okay, this one.
ということは
I think it's easier to find someone without any mistakes.
やっぱり
Tons of mistakes were made for each episode.
そうですよ
And most of the mistakes were somewhat similar. They just kept happening one right after another. What was the accident you just mentioned? The story behind Beloved's debut concert was leaked to the public.
それは
During answer to staff's questions about Beloved's debut concert and word got out. Oh, that. Sales wiped the tip of his nose with the back of his hand.
そして
Also, the official accounts manager's mistake was huge.
そうだな
There were so many accidents. Everyone suspected him of being a hardcore fan of Beloved. Later was proven true after his personal account was uncovered. Of course, the viewers who cheered for other contestants weren't happy about it. The Fader manager has no reason to visit the stage.
ありえないですよ
I guess that's why he was overreacting, but he crossed the line. He must be lucky though, since he never got fired. The official account manager was suspected of being a big fan of Beloved. That suspicion was found out to be true later via his personal account. Yeah, I'm playing 5D chess. Actually, I know how to pronounce all of these correctly. I'm just doing this to fuck with you guys. Nuolo is now being an exchange student learning English. You remember very well, don't? When I don't. Well, you remember very well when I don't. He seems to have created controversy when he quit the job. Did you hear that from Julia? She was close with some staff members. Let me think. Zero rubbed his chin with his hand. The guy who quit before the finals wasn't hired during the Super Week team mission. The young staff member who had been hired at the end of the preliminaries was fired. You know when and how he got fired? Yeah, right before the finals. The profile accident where the contestants' information was all mixed up. Just the teacher knew he was in for a bad time.
そうだったな
It was right before the finals due to the profile accident.
そうです
Yeah, so you do remember.
わかった
Of course, because it was a big issue even though it didn't last long. He got fired almost immediately. He did odd jobs around the show, such as managing the computers and devices and briefly managing the official Beastars account. What's the story with the staff member who quit his job?
それは
He didn't make any trouble when he quit. He worked as an assistant, and he quit because he had to go back to school. That's all I can remember for now. Okay. The staff member was hired during the preliminaries and fired right before live broadcasting began due to the profile accident. He had managed data, devices, and the official account. Okay. We can find. Okay, we can do this. Oh, yay! My sanity improved. It's been at max for a while, but oh no, never mind. It went down once, and we improved it again. So I guess that counts as improving. He had finally compiled the list of the staff who could be a Sungi.
プロフィール事件解雇になった新人スタッフ
Ho ho ho.
公式アカウントの管理スタッフ
話しているうちに絞れたわね
無実の人を追い詰めると逆に叩かれるかもしれませんよ
Just then a message from Pluckhole arrived. Yo man, it's time to end it all. Fuck yeah, let's do it. You get the big picture now after talking with people?
そろそろ選ばないと話をもう一度整理してみよう
By the way, you guys want a dramatic thing? Or an anticlimactic reveal?
まず末端スタッフか
I'm asking because there's a choice coming up. Where is it? Ah, this one. You never say no to either of those. Because I'm feeling dramatic. I think dramatic would be
新
fun.
人スタッフは地域予選が終わった頃
Let's pretend we're taking this game seriously, so okay. So dramatic it is.
解雇されたのはプロフィールの問題が明らかになった後推測した範囲に当てはまるだって
Ding.
プロフィール事件が起きて個人用のアカウントがあぶり出された解雇された後しばらく避難されたしスタッフ同士の話や出演者から聞いた話なんかを外部
Do you need to speak up? You're getting drowned out by the background music.
終わったよ末端スタッフの話
出演者の情報はどうやって知ったんでしょう
流出事件があったんだ業務中にゴシップを集めて
It is great BGM, but I would also like to hear
い
this
ろんな
guy
雑
speak.
務をこなす中でネットや機器に関わる業務もあった 公式アカウント担当になったこともある。スマートウォッチの機能やシャベッターのパスワードも知っていたはずだ。
パスワードをもらったのは本戦2回目なんだぞ。解雇は
あ、それは僕が説明します。担当スタッフならもう少し早く分かっていたはずですよ。本戦1回目までは代わりにシャベッターに投稿もしてましたから。
Okay.
解雇されていたから今日の崩壊にも巻き込まれなかった。今もスタッフの連絡網に残っているならプロデューサーの情報を
Yeah,
先
I
に
think
知
he's
る
on
こ
the
と
contact
可能
list
だ
or
った。
he's in one of the group chats
でも
still.
解雇になった人が連絡網に
Because they
残ってる
didn't
の
clean
か
that
な。
up properly because they don't even know who they had.
ちょっとそうですが可能ではあります。スタッフの構成が少し複雑なんですよ。
It's a
契約
little
に派遣もありますから。
worrying to hear that though.
探すにも全スタッフのリスト
It's
すら
like
出
you
てない
guys
ん
don't
です
even
から。
know who exactly is working for you, especially people on like
そうだとしたら
temporary work. Like, oh
ど
my
うして
god.
匿名であんな脅迫までするのかしら。
それはプロフィール事件で解雇された件みたいです。もう少し調べる必要はありますか？
Oh. He often uploaded rumors using his personal account. He was criticized for causing a profile accident. His personal info was leaked. He got fired before the finals.
次は公式アカウントの管理者だ。
Okay. Oh god. Okay, well, he posted on the wrong account first. Then, yeah, it was suspected that he was a big fan of Beloved. Then people blamed him because he posted on the wrong account. He worked... Wait, no, what else? He was replaced. Doesn't matter what order I go in. I don't think it does. He was replaced, but he did the work again afterwards. Oh, it doesn't matter which order I do it in. Okay.
何度も変わった。回り回って結局は元の担当に戻った。今の管理者、つまり最初にアカウントを担当していたスタッフがミスを犯した。ベリスタの公式アカウントにログインしたままユーマのことを非難する投稿をシェアしてしまったんだ。すぐに取り消したがすでにたくさんの人が見た後だった。個人アカウントと公式アカウントを間違えたと釈明してたな。人々はミスではない恋であった。そのうち個人アカウントで昔ビラブドのファンを名乗っていたことが見つかった。制作
Honestly, if
仕事を忘れてファンとして意識
if you
しすぎ
put
たことが
anything
問題
like
だ
that
ってみんな言ってた。
would make it obvious who you are on your personal account, I would
結局管理者は処分を受け
lock that account, like make it a private account,
た。出演者たちに
or I wouldn't put any information on there that actually has you like any identifiable information that you are also that this is the private account of a staff member.
こっちもまとまった。
It's like just a bad idea to put the stuff where you work anywhere on your own personal
事故に
profile.
巻き込まれていた。
そうね。今もずっと書き込みしてるし。
But that's just my personal
シャベッタを
opinion.
管理していたから俺たちのパスワードも知っている可能性がある。
出演者の話もある程度知っていたことは。
コンセプトを決めないといけないので、あるスタッフには話が伝わっています。どこまで伝わっていたか、どんな話まで伝わっていたかは
プロデューサーの話を先に知ることはベリスタの管理者なら可能だった。
私たちが番組スタッフに言ったからすぐに広まったのかもしれないわね。じゃあ何必死にこんなことしてるのよ。
公式アカウントでユーマを非難する投稿シェアしただろう。ミスだって言ってたけどもう非難を受けて結局処分を受けた。個人アカウントからユーマのアンチでレイナさんのファンだということが分かった。
想像もつかなかったわ。
いきなり俺たちに 悔しいと訴えてくることもあったし、自分なりの理由はあったんだろうけどな。ユーマがバカなことやらかすから助けようと思ってやったのに、自分だけが損したって思ってるようだった。
After his official mistake of sharing a bad post about Hisung, people found out he was a fan of June. He quit his job, but he came back to work after his successor was fired. Oh my god! Considering 3 conditions, the motive for an anonymous attacks, the position to access the contestant's secrets, and Sungyun's death, and access to the watcher's password info, the official account manager and former staff both satisfied all 3 conditions.
いざここまで来ると結論が出
It's a
ないわね。
50-50 chance, it's not that hard.
そうですね。
まずは一つだけやってみて、いまいちだったら
We
次に移る
absolutely cannot do that.
失敗した場合のリスクも考えないと。
Second board while adjusting his glasses.
さっきから曖昧なんですけど、
Oh?
推測までは構わないんですよ。出演者のアカウントで投稿するのは反対です。
Oh yeah, that would be very bad.
争いが始まる瞬間から問題が起きるんです。
Huh?
分かっても、その責任は唯一のスタッフである僕が負うことになるかもしれません。
Okay, well, fuck you then.
当たっていたとしても、あっちが違うと
50-50 chances tend to screw me over. Me too, though. Like, when I have a 50-50 chance, I always go like, okay, this one, gut feeling, and then I think about it for too long. Change what I would have chosen, and then I'm wrong. I would have been right the first time. That's usually what it ends like for me.
鈴木さんの言う通りですよ。T 吉江が外のやつかもしれないという結論までは出ましたよね。
Yes.
そいつがなんて喋ってようが気
No.
にしなけりゃいいんですよ。
They weren't wrong. Introduce a second bullet system or something. Why don't you answer me? Don't explain how you narrowed down the pool of the staff suspects in the stories. If a Sungyun is under a lot of pressure, we can take them out using circumstantial evidence. But it doesn't seem to be the case, meaning we can't. Then what should we do? That's why you were so excited for getting the coin flip in Zero Time. Oh yeah, the infamous coin flip that everyone mysteriously got on their first try. I was the same, that was like, oh! Only to find out it's scripted. We need strong evidence other than circumstantial one. Like what? I've accessed Hyosung's cloud before, then it was locked in the IP access history. I saw the history, but there were not many logs. I guess Hyosung hardly visited the backup server. And I found out another IP logged several times before me. Bypassed IP, visited from one of the African countries. Guess who? It's a Sungyun's IP. Does it have to do with choosing between the two? Of course, you bet your life on it. Yeah, my life is kinda on a line here. Cloud is connected from a PC. If there's a foreign IP logged, a Sungyun is using a PC to access Fader. How is that helping me right now? Let's see if it's the official account, but I need your help. What help? Let's make a very interesting bait link related to you guys. If someone clicks it, their IP and device model will be logged. Then you send the same link to the official account. Why me? Because I can. A Sungyun may ignore a link sent by an anonymous user, so it must be sent by you. If the link is accessed from the official account, the IP and device model will be logged. Then I'll check if the IP is the same as the one logged on a cloud server and if the device is PC. What if a Sungyun uses 2 PCs? One for the official account, the other for a Sungyun. Look, buddy, let's suppose you're the official account manager and also using a Sungyun's account from another PC. You've clicked the link and seen the whole content in it. Then how likely is it for you to go to another PC to log in as a Sungyun and click the link again, or to go to another PC to click the link sent to the official account? It's not impossible, but extremely unlikely. We've seen how this person is behaving, all their careless behaviors. Let's sum it up. Okay. If the first visitor's IP is the same as the one in the cloud and the device is PC, the official account manager is a Sungyun. Or the former staff member, either of the two. Does it have to be a link of a personal story? We could still lure him without such a thing. Take it or leave it. I'm 100% sure that a personal story is the best way to lure that worm. We must make a song and click the link. Just put up the title and write nothing. Don't be scared, man. If you don't like using others, why not use your story on? We don't have to really disclose anything. My finger hurts from typing too long. Then make up your mind and let me know so I can check it. Let's end it. The conversation ended with an unsolved question. At this point, there's no other way. He decided to go along with Pluckhole's advice. Why do I keep fucking up device and advice today? Something that's attractive.
ありえないのは抜かして信憑性のある話題は
This one then. The persuasion.
俺の話はどうかな
Yeah, you should use your own story. Don't use someone else.
ベリスタに参加した裏事情に関する情報だというふうに
Let's go!
人のこと自分のことを書いた方がいいよな
I'm back with it. It's a tiny URL link. Wait, does that open to anything? Hold on. I wanna know. tinyurl.com QPRQ3E3. Hello, it's Doyun. I'd like to share my behind story of participating B-Stars with you. Drum roll, here we go. Symbol crashed. The reason why I chose to participate B-Stars was to go on a masquerade. Come on, you saw it coming. Masquerade, a masquerade, it says. Haha! It's an actual page. That's cool. It's an actual page. Send this link to the official B-Stars account mentioned with some appealing description. That's fascinating. Also, I've always read tiny URL as like tin URL until I noticed that it's tiny URL. It's so chaotic. What is this? He threw the bait and waited. Tin URL, yes. Tin URL. It was just some years ago that I was like, wait, it's probably not tin URL. A few minutes later, Pluckhole's message arrived. Package has been delivered. Here's the identity of S-Seungyeon you've requested. You've checked the logs? Of course. Here's the result of the bait link. The identity of S-Seungyeon is... We'll continue after ad. Come on, I'm serious here. Don't get serious, it doesn't help. Bro. Anyway, the identity of S-Seungyeon is... Say it. The young staff member! It's who we expected it to be, actually. The identity of S-Seungyeon who'd been harassing everyone. It was the former staff member who got fired as a scapegoat. Different IP and device for the official account. A few minutes later, the IP from the cloud reappeared. The former staff member still seems to have access to the network. Vsauce friends, security comes first. He helped a lot to reveal S-Seungyeon's identity. Anyway, he seems like an ally. Anyway, now's the time to decide. Decide what? We will make S-Seungyeon unable to come back anymore. We can embarrass S-Seungyeon by revealing what we've collected so far. That's the life. The higher you soar up, the greater the damage when you fall. It wasn't easy for Doyun to send the answer. The former staff member who exploited the death of Seungyeon and mocked the survivors. Was it because he was so resentful at the show's success and the spotlights on the contestants? Was it that unfair? Was it that miserable? Nobody here remembered his name. He was not a noteworthy person. The former staff member, no one remembered much about him at all. Excuse me, are you there or what? You don't like a noisy brawl? You want to handle it quietly? Then we can just report who he is to the official account manager. You prefer that way? No. Let's go! Let's go! I'll leave it to you. Okay, let's beat the crap out of this loser. Just wait and watch the show. Let's go. Let's go! I'm sure a few sucker punches will soon turn into mob violence. Thank you. Thank you for the clip. Other people might have a different idea. You should persuade them. But, Do-hyun, listen carefully. It's a big thing to take down a Sungyun. Your friends there will have more room to breathe for a while. But this is not the end. Probably due to a signal issue, no further message came from him. Mob attack! Mob attack! Mob attack! He checked the timeline on the watch. A Sungyun, the most popular counter fader. I'm sad to say there was a new staff who got fired for messing up the Beastars profile. Rory checked the AP, so don't worry about it. The two can't be living in Africa or something, right? Thank you for the hydro time. And the pet. Nervous, huh? The main address and the first digits of the phone number match exactly when I checked the recovery option. I understand it must have been difficult and frustrating, but it's not like the contestants prayed for the profile error to occur. Isn't he almost certainly a Sungyun? Finally, the truth will show itself. You framed him as the informer of Hyosung's past life and it didn't work. Now you're trying to frame him as an evil staff member? Haven't you seen my photos of the scene? I can't believe you're still suspecting me over that hypocrite. Rookie, I'll be waiting on a new photo full of metadata. Don't think it's going to work. Of course it's impossible. You want another piece of evidence? Fine, just hold there. You know, the former staff member's personal account had been exposed. Now I think about it, Sungyun sounds pretty much like him. Yeah, it is weird for him to impersonate Sungyun out of everyone else. I checked the former staff member's fate and he spoke just like this guy. And you know what? The account was changed to private mode just now. Didn't he make an excuse that the mixed-up data was not his mistake? Only weirdos make such a basic mistake. Is it true that the Sungyun is an ex-staff member who was fired? Is he causing all this trouble impersonating that person for his personal grudge? What a loser. Don't none of you people go to sleep? It's almost 4 AM. If survivors and bereaved families file a suit, his life is over. If a Sungyun is really that guy, then he better kneel down and beg for mercy to everyone right now. Or does he have something up in his sleeve, a secret card or something? Around the time of the profile issue, I heard from a friend of mine who knew that guy, and my friend said that he was a wacko. True genuine wacko out of all the staff members. Uh-oh. Look, Sungyun's posts are being erased. He's running away now. If he's leading them all, then it's obvious who he is. Those who dance the Sungyun's tune, they should do something to make up their stupid mistake by writing an apology post or something. I don't expect much though. No, probably not. Social media run is more important than sleep. What's the Sungyun as disclosed so far were rumors he heard while working for Beastars? The Sungyun is done. It tried to witch hunt survivors using public opinion only to face a backlash. We will take decisive action on spreading false information about survivors or damaging the reputation of the deceased. Uh-oh. Click, 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 click. A Sungyun never came back. It served as proof that his identity was successfully revealed. Public opinion shifted suddenly. The timeline was flooded with posts criticizing and blaming a Sungyun. A Sungyun who had been harassing the group for so long finally made his exit. His exit wasn't as pleasant or delightful as Doyen had imagined it would be. A Sungyun was found out to be a former staff member who had been held solely responsible for as a scapegoat for the profile accident. The survivors exchanged flustered looks with one another.
退場ですね T よしいや新人スタッフ驚くことにそいつの名前もよく思い出せません
Yeah, that's kind of sad that none of you know his name.
みんなそうだよ
June, who was holding the watch by her knee, raised her head.
プロフィール事件が原因だったなんて私たちが辞めさせたわけじゃないんでしょ
この番組の中心は出演者だからな
ヘラヘラ笑っているのを見たらどんどん憎悪が募ったってことかな
Still a fucked up thing to do, though. There was a heavy silence. The pressure they felt while the identity of Sungyeon was hidden was no longer there. Small for breath and all else, not kind of like solely. And the next question, a cue emerged in its place. A depressing question that would weigh upon them heavily.
だったら
Yeah, wait, so if Sungyeon was some guy outside, then who killed Hyesung? At the same time, the question was inevitable.
ユーマを殺した犯人って
Da 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 da. There it is. Woo! Still stretched out his hand to
それ
interrupt.
はそれは分からないですよ。 T 教えじゃないことは明らかだけど
Why are you always the first one to be like, oh, we shouldn't keep talking about this, my dude?
また振り出しに戻るのかしら
What? You can just ask me to read it in Uber voice the next time.
T 教え
It's not like I'm
本当に
going
この事件
away.
と関係ないのか
Well, that's not true. I am taking a little break this weekend, but
関係がありそうに見えただけだよ。
it won't be relevant.
じゃあやっぱりどこかに隠れてるやつが犯人じゃない
Is there a route where he doesn't die? Wait, who? Hyesung?
さあね
No, he always dies. That's kind of a big plot point.
とにかく誰かがいるって信じたいわ私たちが知らないところにねそうじゃなかったら
There's not
結論は
really...
一つしかないでしょ
Like, honestly, the big changes really only are going to start happening after all this. We're still very much in
中に犯人がいる
the whole part where it's like, oh, no, he's died, and then the whole Sungyeon thing is coming in. Now we're starting the real big stuff. One of us must have killed him. So, fun. The beads of sweat on Doyun's neck suddenly turned cold.
そんなわけない。必ずいます。誰かがいるはずです。
ともかく確実なことはただ一つみんな一緒にいれば安全ということよ
Are you though?
僕たちは5人ですから
Ina's gaze lingered among the rest of the group. There was an awkward silence.
だよねでも私気になることがある
Maybe you should stop your questions and actually shut up, Ina. You're only making it worse. Ina slowly turned around to face Gyuhyuk.
ユーマに会いに楽屋に行った時話し終わってすぐに戻ってきたんだよねその時はあいつ生きてたでしょ
Uh-oh.
気になっただけだよ私会えなかったから
Ina has the one thing going for her, and that's how Sale will probably jump to her rescue at any and all points in time, no matter what happens. So, if he doesn't die, they might not realize there's a murderer among them. Kinda, yeah. I think we're all on the same page here that we don't think that Sungyeon's death was an accident, right? But yeah, if it was only like Sungyeon's dead body they find, they could be like, yeah, okay, she died because of something falling from high above, and no one else dies, and you'd be like, whoa, well, happened. But with two people dead, and especially with him dying the way he did, it just ooh.
すぐ戻ってきたよその後は
Sungyeon's, it looks accidental enough, yeah, but
ここにいるみんなにはユーマ 馬くんを殺す理由なんかないわ。
Do we?
理由がなきゃできないって？思い通りにならなかったとか。
But you know, it's that one type of person I hate in these kind of settings, because it's like if you just shut up, nothing else bad would happen. But no, you have to open your mouth and be like, oh, I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe shut up.
ユーマくんはケイくんが戻ってきてからも T ヨシエと争った。そりゃ
The only one without a reason that you're aware of right now is Gyuk. Gyuk slightly loosened a knot of his tie.
みんなを振り切って一人で向かったのはクニガさん。
Stop, please.
気に入らなくて頭に来てそうしたのなら範囲を広げてみるのはどうだ。
She deserves that right now, though.
それ私のこと？
Yeah, you keep shooting. You keep shooting at everyone in the room right now.
あいつがシャベッターで何を書くかわからないからでしょ？
Huh?
何かもわからないことは発表するかもしれないのにほっとけって言うの？
Dune felt like throwing up and my head was spinning. Who the fuck? Okay. He tried to ease the group's anxiety by removing a Sungyun from the picture. Once the Sungyun was gone, they began to suspect one another.
クニカちゃん、あなたが言ったシャベッターでの発表の話は結局何だったのかわからなくなったわ。分かってる。
Dorian is leaving his body. Is like,
一人ずつ呼び出して
I'm removing myself and my consciousness from being the role of the protagonist.
待って、その話最初にしたの誰だ？
Ina, shut the fuck up!
事態を要求して脅迫みたいなこと言ったってこと、あいつからは直接聞いてないじゃない。
Oh, is it me now? You think it was me who killed him? I'm colluding with Gyuk because Gyuk was like, oh yeah, I met him still? Huh? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying, Ina? Huh?
私はそう聞いただけよ。
Say it to my face right now, bitch. I mean, I did it. I did it.
俺だ。俺が一番最
The
初。
writer's head was spinning, reason why it's so confusing to read.
そこから戻ってきてどんな話をしたか伝えた。
Sailor said. I like how you have like really good explanations. And it's just sailor sail. Valid though.
りょう、口を挟む必要はない。
How is your rapid
そう
going
ね
up?。
あんただったわ。
Yeah, it was me.
次がケイちゃんで、二人とも同じような話をし
You
て
so
た。
now you're suspecting both of us of working together, huh? Huh?
二人で口裏を合わせたはずはないだろうし。
Who's to say that you didn't make up your story of, oh, he wasn't in the dressing room and I tried to find him and then I started looking for him in the staff corridor, huh?
そんなことするわけないだろ。
クニカさん、いい加減にしてくれ。
ちょっと考えてみたいと思った
Then
だけよ。
think quietly. June intervened, raising her hands.
話し合うくらいはいいんじゃないかしら。
That's because you're not getting suspected right now, bitch.
一人で考えて不安になるよりはいいでしょ。
I mean, yeah, Sail is
あまり
sketchy.
深入りするのはやめましょう。
But I feel like Scale is too obviously sketchy. I don't know how to explain this, but like,
さらに何時間も待たな
stuff
きゃい
shows
けない
up
状
too
況。
often for him to actually be the culprit. I feel like it's a red herring. They're like, here, he's another thing, and another thing. So you're like,
気まずくなって。
I just don't
バラ
trust
にでもなったら
the one we initially suspect. I could be thinking too hard on it though.
一番怪しかったやつがちょうど退場しましたから、各自いろいろ考えちゃうのは仕方ありません。
それは私も同じよ。
June put one hand on the top of her head and slowly took a deep breath.
ユーマくんの遺体を発見した時、いろんな可能性を考えてみたでしょ。その時は T ヨシエが一番怪しいっていう前提があったでしょ。
今はそうじゃないって。
Ina lowered her gaze and nodded.
それじゃあ、こうしてみるのはどうだ。もう
You
一
read
度
a manga
詳
that
しく
had
調
what
べ
I
て
thought
み
was a
る。
very obvious red herring. Oh, did they overturn it? Turns out it was just the guy who did. I mean, that's the thing though, right? Because when they make it too obvious, you're stuck feeling like, nah, it's too obvious. And then they actually turn around and make it that person, you're like, huh.
何よ
Turns out overthinking is also wrong sometimes. You continued after a
ユ
brief
ーナがステ
pause.
ージを離れた後の僕たちの足取りだよ。
What?
そのこと？
同じ話をまたする必要がありますか？
Well, yeah, if Ina keeps going on about like, oh, we need to think about this, then I want her story again.
また同じ話するの？
Yes!
しないの？
Everyone seemed to hesitate at Gyuk's remark.
それがいいかもな。
Yeah, come on.
疑いを払拭するためには。
Come on, clear up my suspicions of you. Agree, let's get things straight this time.
やって
Gothic
みましょ
murder
う
we always thought it was too obvious, but it was
前
always
提が変わったから
right.
もう一度考えてみましょう
With Gothic murder, it felt like they just ran out of time. Like it wasn't bad, but it was like, oh man, I have a feeling it's that guy. It's so obvious. It can't be that one. No, never mind. It was that one.
漠然と疑惑を投げかけるよりはずっとマシだと思いますよ
Anyway, I'm apparently forced to keep going because there's no way for me to save in between all of this. Well, to check your bag, I had to pay you if you didn't have contraband, so try to be super as I had something while not having anything, so they check my... Oh! The double bluff actually ends up working until the very last moment. Truth comes out just before the actual red herring would be convicted. Yes! I love that.
みんながいいって言うなら僕もまあ反対までは
今になって反対するのもおかしいでしょ。
I mean,
やろう。
props to Ina though.
easy.
Like she does do it. At least, like she's like going out all the way, but also she's not like turning her back on and being like, oh no.
私たちが今やるべきことは生き残ることよ。
Jurying, we literally agreed like 5 minutes ago with
そこは
Inha.
気をつけましょう。
You can't back out now. If you're not against it, then why did your friendship go down? None of them really disagreed with going over their whereabouts again. Oh, are you kidding me? I've progressed significantly. It was inevitable, and my mispronunciations are negligible. Negligible? Fuck off! Why do you use an expensive voice redeem to make me do that? Thank you, no. No. I'm getting bullied on stream again. Let's go over it again. It might help us to ease the tension. It seemed like there was an implicit agreement. Is everyone happy with the elimination of the rat? The attacker might be among us. I thought so. I saved you guys out of trouble and now you're fighting among yourselves. I hope there's no brawl going on. Not yet. Do you want me to stop them aggressively? If you overreact, you'll become the focus of the group, don't you? You better point out anything suspicious. Tension is to be avoided, but a mild degree of stress could be helpful to overcome the situation. What are you, my therapist? No, thank you. The attacker might be a red suited spaceman with a flower pot in his head. I was a little confused for a second there, like, what? Until it clicked. Doing closed the messenger. It was a reasonable idea. Rather than letting all the suspicions explode later, it would be better to clear them up now. So they decided to have another talk. But he couldn't help but feel a sense of defiance toward Plackle's casual tone of speech. What? I thought we were working on it together. Please don't sulk, I'm begging you. I don't like your tone. Aye aye, sir. Your tone. Okay. Dorian lowered the watch and listened to what the others had to say. There was some progress to the story.
T ヨシエや外からの侵入者は除いて考えるのよね。
Yes.
とにかく 最後の発見は2時。トイレなのは同じね。
Flawless in our hearts, thank you.
運ばれた痕跡はありま
I
せんで
think
した。
I'm a very...
そこでやられたんです。
I don't know how to end that sentence actually. I'll just
犯
keep
行に及
playing
ん
the
だと
game.
考えられる時間は2時になる前の20分ぐらい。
That is assuming that everyone's story is correct, timing wise. Don't shoot over the time period again.
1時40分ユーマの喋った絵の投稿が止まった時点だ。
I also think you're very thank you.
2時までの間
Thank you.
トイレに行
Appreciate
け
it.
た人は
Alright, let's see. Who could access the restroom before Hisung's death? Ina could go there. Sale could go there. And also, once again, Inha. The veriest.
クニカは1時40分頃ユーマの投稿を見て楽屋誰もついてくるな
Yep.
揺れが始まる前まで中央廊下で待ってたって言ってたけど、それを見た者は誰もいない。
Ina waited in front of the dressing room until the tremor came, but nobody saw what she was really doing during that time.
楽屋に誰もいないのを見てからスタッフ用の廊下に向かったと言った。
Why does everyone need me right now? Oh my god. One time. I just want to stream in peace one time. Ah! Thank you for the gifted subs. Thank you.
中央廊下
For being very. Whoa.
2人で戻ってきた。
Thank you.
ナオトに会う前までは本人だけが何をしたかを知ってる。
Ina said that she left the dressing room and headed to the staff corridor. Then she got back to the stage after meeting with Sale. What was she doing before she met Sale then? Yeah, she's actually the most suspicious person we have.
中央廊下に行った。空いた楽屋から出て中央廊下に行った時クニカに会ったと言った。楽屋に行ってからクニカに会うまで一人だった。
Sale said he went to the dressing room directly and waited in the empty room for a while. Could he have done anything strange before he met Ina in the corridor? Could he?
ナオト、20分の間、2人ならどうにかトイレに行けたはずだ。
And thank you so much for the sub. I don't know why that one doesn't play a sound, but thank you. Ina refused accompaniment. That's my problem though. I can't just pretend it doesn't fuck me up. Ina refused accompaniment and left, and Sale, who followed her shortly after the tremor, were the ones who were able to commit the crime during that period.
しかも2人は中央廊下で会う前までお互いを見ていない。
Maybe it was Ina and Sale, right? Maybe they are actually working together. Huh?
互いの足取りを証明するものは
Like they can both just like back each other up. At that time, both Kyuhyuk and Doyeon were on the stage. Jung was gone for a while, but it was impossible for her to go to the central corridor.
結局それなんですね。
And you're immediately getting pissed about it. Well, Doyeon raised his head at Sale's echoing voice from the other side.
一度疑ったからって私たちに噛みつくわけ？
You started it!
どうした？
Bitch!
その時にユーマを殺せたのは私とナオちゃんだって言うじゃん。
Yeah,
もしそうならなんで私がこの先に話し合いを
because your
するわ
plan
け？
backfired?
私はアホなの？
I like that the Japanese dub definitely said something about her like, oh, you think I'm being an idiot? Yes! Yes, I do!
ユーマに冷たくしてたのって僕だけじゃないでしょ。
No, you're just pathetic. Although Sale was with protection staff member, he openly showed hostility towards Hyesung.
何かしたという意味じゃない。外の人間は除いて考えるってことだから。
It's so funny. They started, and now they're upset that I
う
think
なずくのは
it
難
could be
しい
them.
ですよそれ。
Oh?
2人のうち1人なら5対5の割合で犯人確定よ。
Why is he saying they couldn't have coordinated the story? They literally met up in there, and they were the only ones there for a while. You could have talked during that time and be like, hey.
最初に言った通り。引っかかるところ
Anyway,
を
why are
確
they
かめて
getting
みた。
upset now? You started it.
僕も引っかかるんです。鈴木さんも引っかかるみたいです。
ああ、余計に騒いで損しちゃった。何よこれ。
I don't know what that saying means.
私が犯罪者。
No, I'm just pointing out possibilities.
見えるの？
Ina ran her hands through her hair, mussing it up. Did you patch up everything? No, I made it worse. I'm a bit worried. Getting carried away can be risky. It could be bad if you dig into it further. Could be true. If they went over every little detail, they might find a decisive clue. But if the real attacker comes out, that will be another problem. What do you want me to... What do you say? No answer? You must be in trouble. Stay calm. We've handled troubles pretty good so far, right? Kill them both and it's 100, 100, 50, 50. I'm just looking forward to the safe return of Mr. Han. I mean, what if it's neither of them, though? He said he's waiting for Doyun to come back safely and that he should continue to keep his cool. It was Doyun who had to make the choice because he was the protagonist. Anyway, we'll put together the missing pieces.
話をもう一度聞いてみましょう。
Kill them all! You were sure to get the murderer that way. One murderer at least. I mean, you might you're becoming another one, but you got the other murderer, right? Maybe it's all of them, and we're the only odd one out.
まあいいわよ。変な誤解は嫌だからね。
仕方ないですね。
It's a separate matter in that case. The two nodded their approval. It seemed that nobody wanted this to continue.
いいよ。話してみようじゃん。
Okay.
その気になった。
マジ無理。犯罪者のレッテルなんて。
まあ、クニカちゃんがそう言うなら。
Do you ever think for yourself? Genuine question.
取り調べするつもりはないんだ。
分かってるけど、強調するからそう聞こえないんだけど。それじゃあ、最初から話してちょうだい。
The two of them began to talk with grim looks on their faces. Ha ha! Autosave checkpoint. Which means I am leaving you guys on a cliffhanger for an entire week. Isn't that fun? It's not. It's not really fun, but I need to go. I am so sorry. I can't. I'm so sorry. Now you're glad, you're bully. Listen, I can change it. I've already gone over time by half an hour. I am sorry. Also, it's not like we can finish a route today. We probably can't even finish it next week. Like next stream. So this is why we're taking a break. Nah, there's still a bunch left, honestly. There's still a bunch left, so don't worry, it's not going to be over anytime soon. Bit of endurance training, CO is still hanging next week. Yes. Yes. But I'm just glad we're finally getting to like the part where it's about finding the murderer, because this entire thing with Seungyeon and Fader was like, wow, why do, and no one bothered with the murder anymore. So we're finally getting there. Thank you for the stream. It was a lot of fun. Thank you. But yeah, this is the only stream we're going to have this week, because I'll be gone starting tomorrow until Monday. So we see each other like on Wednesday. We see each other on Wednesday for this game. Like it's gonna be an entire week. But sometimes real life responsibilities are there that I cannot push around. I'm sorry. Thank you for next stream. No, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Night. Let me set up a raid to someone we have not seen in quite a while. Because I keep missing like the time frame, right? Time frame. But actually Hina is streaming, so we can finally say hello there again after a long while. Thank you for streaming. No raids tonight. Yes, raids. We do raids. We like doing raids. You're gonna get a raid whether you want to or not. Nah, thank you everyone for coming by today. I hope you all have a great weekend. I'll try to like keep posting stuff on Twitter a little to show that I'm still alive. But I'll see you properly for a stream next week. For now, I wish you all a very, very good night. Thank you so much for coming. Keep churning out those theories of who you think the murderer is, because I'm always happy to hear about those. Bye for now. See you all soon. Good night. And bye bye. Bye bye bye.